Hello. Um, as usual, I can't figure out time, I suppose. I apologize. Um, I do have some new tech, and it is being a little weird, but I suppose that is not particularly new. Um, the it being weird part. And also, like, right before I went live, I realized that the shirt came out of the wash with like two spots still on it that are really bothering me, but um it is what it is now. So, let me get situated here and cut off with the stuff. Hopefully the sound is okay. Oh, I also got I'm afraid to hold it up because it might break something, because for some reason technology does not like me as much as I like it. But you know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna try. But I got another Stream Deck, the one with like the dial things, and I haven't fully got it how I like it yet, but the dial things are so cool because you can like it's pretty cool. So, oh, and I got the thing, but that's what's causing the weird like blue, I don't know if you can tell, like the weird blue halo thing. Like that's down here, that's on purpose. Over here, that's not on purpose. But you know, it adds something different, so I'm not completely upset about it. Hopefully it's gonna go away once I put the chat up there. Let me do that and see if that helps. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I was going to I decided what I was gonna do tonight a few nights ago or a few days ago when people started putting out like, oh, the upcoming lives, and I was like, oh, cool, a new whatever debate. And since we've been covering like all of them, I was like, okay, let's do that. But then when I was looking for like, okay, which debate is gonna be today, which is gonna be another day, because there's a bunch of them happening kind of next to each other. And then I was like, oh, well, I happened to see the one from Modern Day Debates, and I was like, oh, well, that's tonight. Okay, so that must be the one that was for tonight. And so I created that, thumbnail and everything. And then later, like, I don't know if it was a few hours later or something, but I did eventually see the whatever one again, and I was like, oh crap, this was the one that was also tonight. And so, yeah, I figured since people might be talking about this one anyway, I might as well sort of get it out of the way. And we'll do the other one in a couple days. Let me get my stuff here. Let me get my chat so I can say hi to everybody properly. This is the first thing I want to do. And we'll see if this fixes the blue halo situation. I need this thing. And there we go. Let's see if that helps. Oh, come on. Did that help? Oh yeah, that is a little less blue. A little bit. I mean, it's still a little there, but it's not as blue. I mean, that does make a big difference. Okay, if I put something there with a black background, that really helps with the blue color going on there. Let me see if I can get used to this. Hello, Professor Hizzle. Welcome back, Phantom. I don't know if you were first, Phantom, but close. I guess he was first. Or I don't know if you were saying that Professor Hizzle was first or that you were going to be first. Ricknell, welcome back. Hello, Naz, welcome back as well. Nice to see everybody. New tech, very fancy. I am doing the wizardry of, I got the thing that goes on the screen. So the screen, like where the chat used to be, like I would put it somewhere over here, and now it's like right there. So it's supposed to be like I'm looking into the chat, but also into the camera. Crazy. It's crazy. I'm still getting used to it. It is a little bit awkward because I'm like, okay, well, I have to look there now because that's where the chat is and I have to read it. But now I'm like, okay, I'm looking into the camera, like it's in there. And that's kind of freaking me out. So yeah, it's different for sure. What did I miss? Not much yet. Mostly the usual troubles. My usual technology troubles. Looks better. Oh, thank you so much. Uh, I, I mean, if which comes with handy tech, I'll take it. Don't tell Rachel. Oh my goodness. Speaking of witches, she's got a thing for witches apparently. I haven't read her book, but apparently it's got witches in it, so that's something. Oh, speaking of books, I have something to show you in a minute. Just catch up here. Looks like I was watching a really old film that got digitally restored. Oh, like with the blue halo thing. It seems like he is, unfortunately. I'm getting kind of tired of it, so I've been focusing on like the Erica research this whole like last week. But I don't know if you guys saw my message in the Discord, but like I finally like, okay, I'm gonna do this Erica thing and I'm like balls deep in it. Okay, that's probably an inappropriate expression for me. Anyway, I was doing all this research and I'm like, okay, I've got something here. I've got this, like me and Claude, we're working on it. And I've got some interesting stuff. Unfortunately, some of it somebody has brought up at some point. I've got one thing that I think is like mostly new, but I'm still verifying it, and it's crunching like a lot of data together to really get those numbers right and like rechecking them and just to make sure it's just to make sure it's not you know, AI sometimes they get really excited about, well, excited. It seems like they're like really excited to be helpful and they're like, "Oh, look, yes, totally, I agree." So I'm making sure it's not like, you know, I'm not leading it down somewhere that is not necessarily the truth. But Claude has been so much better than ChatGPT with that. I basically threw away ChatGPT as soon as the government thing when Claude was like, "Oh, we're not gonna remove the safety protocol things because we don't want you using our AI for like." Not that they like minded the government was using it, and not that they even really like had a problem with them using it for war, but they wanted a person to approve every time they would use it to kill, which I don't think is asking a lot, but apparently that was a big deal breaker. And then the using it to spy on domestic citizens, which was nice. But I'm assuming it probably had more to do with like their issue was probably more to do with not wanting to be liable for their AI doing something and like killing the wrong person or something like that. It was as much as I would like to sort of ascribe Claude and Anthropic as being like this genuine good company. After all, it is like big tech, and they have a really good product. They really do. It's great. But is my worst thing that I do. I apologize for that. But anyway, it is what it is, and I'm cautious to not ascribe too many good qualities to this company, but I do like their product, and they did do sort of a good thing with the government, so I was like, okay, well. And then as I've discovered, Claude is so much better at basically everything than ChatGPT that I don't even know why I haven't tried it before. I assume because ChatGPT was like the best thing and the first thing and the most popular thing, that must be it was the best one somehow, but it wasn't. And I'm oddly enough kind of late to the train. The first time I really started being like, huh, Claude is really good is when I started using it at work. And it was so much better with any kind of coding problems that I was like, okay, well, this is clearly a better product. And then I was like, okay, well, now I had to try it for my own personal like projects and searching for things and whatever and all the. Anyway, I'm gonna stop blabbing now because I do have something to show you here in a minute. Oh, I do hope I got it. Don't waste have knowledge from him or what listens to us on Twitter bots. I do see some other people as well that don't fit into those categories. And with him going on Joe Rogan and all of those more like mainstream podcasts, like Timcast and all of those. So he's putting himself out there basically everywhere, all over the place. Like the dude does not stop making content. It's crazy. But he's out there grinding and grifting and whatever it is that he does. And it is spreading beyond the normal like manosphere crowd. You know what? Both work. And it's yeah, I'm really tired of it, honestly. But everywhere I turn, he's freaking doing some interview on a podcast that I normally watch or something. It's incredibly annoying. And then I don't know if I ever got to it with me talking about everything else, but then like I was like, okay, I'm doing all this Kirk research and how weird all this stuff is. And then literally like the next day, as I was really fully switching gears, he was doing a debate with somebody on that topic. I was like, F me. So that was annoying. Me and my dev homies all use Claude. Yeah, me as well. I don't know why. So the first time I tried using AI for anything programming, I tried ChatGPT because it's what came with Copilot, because that's what our company has us use, is they have like a Copilot thing. And that was before Copilot did the whole thing where you could like pick Claude. And I was like, okay, well, this is garbage. This is useless. I'll just do it the way I normally do it, except for like some really tedious, like copy pasta kind of stuff. And so I basically hardly ever used it, hardly touched it because, well, it was terribly wrong so much. And then the next time I touched it again was when my coworker was like, oh yeah, did you know they added Claude to the thing, to the like drop down in Visual Studio Code, where you have like Copilot and then there's a little drop down where you pick the models, for us anyway. And they added Claude to that option. I was like, oh, cool, I'll try it. And the first time I tried it, it was like magic. It was so cool. And it was not hallucinating all crazy all over the place. It was wonderful. Claude is amazing at developing quick prototypes of code. We did a hackathon with it at work and it was insane for a rough new features. Yeah, it's been very good. I've been very impressed. It's been your son participating in one of those. Yeah, so as far as hackathons, I have a slight bone to pick with hackathons. I'm obviously not telling you where I work, but and I don't think this is unique to my company because a lot of companies I've worked for have done similar things. So every time that we're told, okay, well, now this is time to do a hackathon and you got your like regular work over here, but this is like this, week or two or whatever. This is like a special hackathon sprint. So you guys go and you innovate and whatever. And every so often we get those. I'm not going to get like too specific as to timing and everything, but anyway, every so often there is time for a hackathon and most companies I've worked for have done something like that. But basically every single time, it's like you have so much work for the regular work that you do that it spills over into the time that you're supposed to have for the fun hackathon stuff that we never get to the fun hackathon stuff. Like it's there, you can do it, but you really can't because you still have a bunch of stuff to do for the regular work. And it's like, okay, well, what's the point even? But it is what it is. Although the other day I did prompt it pretty thoroughly and I misunderstood the code pretty badly. I had to switch models and try again. Yeah, the newest models have been really good. I haven't even really tried with the Haiku and Sonnet. I've been using Opus pretty much the whole way. And I haven't had issues with it so far. Maybe like if the context gets really big, sometimes it stumbles a little bit, but for the most part, you can work around it. Are you a developer? Yes. Hello, reexamination. Welcome back. Hackathon for a whole sprint. Our clients would freak out. Showtime. All right. Speaking of Showtime, I did promise I had something to show y'all. I do have... So I went and I bought a book. And so, you know how... So the Charlie Kirk thing happened, and then his wife went out there and, well, widow, whatever, went out there and started doing weird shit with her eyes and saying weird stuff and lying all over the place. And it was super weird. And then basically immediately after, I don't know if the guy was cold yet, but they pushed out this book that apparently he wrote. Usually it takes maybe like a year or more before somebody publishes something like that, because they're trying to deal with everything else after a person dies, and they're not really worried about publishing a book or whatever. But that's what they did. And so his widow went out and started going on this book tour basically immediately, which was super icky. But I bought the book. I have it. I have the book. It's very weird. I didn't really notice before, but now that I look at it, it's weird because it's got... This is Charlie Kirk up here, but you can hardly see his face. He's very blurry. He's kind of like... I get he's dead, but, you know, it's weird. Like, why not have his face on there? We all know what he looks like. He's not like hiding it, but he's got his hand in there and he's all like, stop. You know, like that famous clip of Erica going, stop it. Anyway, and then even the back is, you can't see his face. It's so weird. It's weird. And it's stop in the name of God, why honoring the Sabbath will transform your life. It's a little suspicious. It's a little suspicious, especially with how quickly they came up with it. And it's, let's see. The text is, that's like a regular size book, I guess. The text isn't very small. It's kind of average. And it's only about 265 pages. But a lot of it is broken up by Bible quotes and stuff like that. So there'll be like, I don't know, a fourth of a page where it's just like a Bible quote, and that takes a lot of space, so it's generously spaced out. And then it says, stop in the name of God, why honoring the Sabbath will transform your life, will help you discover how observing the Sabbath isn't a rejection of modern life, but a rebellion against busyness and pathway to a genuine connection, peace, and presence. Through Stop in the Name of God, best-selling author Charlie Kirk guides you on how to unplug, recharge, and reconnect with God, family, and yourself in a way that nurtures your soul. In a world dominated by screens and constant noise, Stop in the Name of God presents the Sabbath as a radical act of resistance. Packed with practical insights and spiritual wisdom, Charlie Kirk demonstrates how honoring the Sabbath restores balance, reduces anxiety, and nourishes your soul. It's not just a day of rest, it's a lifetime to reclaiming what lifeline. It's not just a day of rest, and it's got one of those long dashes. It's a lifeline to reclaiming what truly matters. And it's that's the first time I've read that, and that's obviously written by AI, because AI has this weird way of writing things where it tends to, I know like the long dashes is a giveaway, but it also is a legitimate, like long dashes are not unique to AI. People use them in books all the time, but it's that pattern of AI. They love doing this thing like, oh, it's not just blah blah blah. It's a blah 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 blah. That's AI loves that, especially like ending on something like that. Loves it. It can't function without having a sentence that's structured like that somewhere near the end of something. It's gotta have it. And I'm not making any claims. I'm just saying it looks a little like AI sounds like. Anyway, I just got it in the mail, so I have plans for it, and you shall find out what those plans are at a later time. So I'm still getting used to the mouse, like going over in this weird little screen off to the side, and I can't even put it like directly up where it is. I have to like put it off to the side. So like when I put my mouse to the side, you know what? You don't care. Sorry, that's not important. Opus is expensive though, isn't it? I mean, not really. I mean, the one. So the one that I pay for personal projects, I haven't really run into many limits, and I use it pretty heavily, so it's like a monthly fee. And for work, I mean, they can afford it for good results, so I think it's worth it. Is chat replay dead? Oh, like for existing past live streams, I turn that off. So it's like you have to be there kind of thing. If there's a demand for that to be turned back on, I don't really mind particularly. It seems a little like I find it kind of weird when I go to like a past live stream and it pops up on like automatically, and I find that kind of annoying on other live streams. Because I'm like, I'm just trying to watch the video. So I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of it because I feel like live chat is something that you kind of have to be there. Plus it's also on the video, so I don't know. If there is demand for it, I can turn it on for like to make it available. But I didn't know people wanted to see it. A physical book, I know. I tried looking for a digital option, but it apparently didn't exist, so I was surprised as well. And that makes me even more suspicious because when I was like, okay, what don't they want people seeing here except for the people that are already willing to give the money for a physical thing that already like believe everything they say. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything suspicious in there. I don't want to get your hopes up or make any promises, but the whole thing is a little weird, so I'm going to look into it. I haven't seen people really try to read it yet. Hello? Testing. I've been told it's a good book. I don't know if you're joking. I mean, it's possible. We can't use LLMs on my codebase. It's old ancient secret government crap. Oh, that sounds interesting. There was a while back, like years ago, when I was looking for a different job, I came across some postings for like Boeing and stuff, and it was like, oh, you gotta have a secret clearance, we'll help you get one. I was like, yeah, no. Hard pass. But on one hand, it sounds kind of fun. On the other hand, government stuff, like, no offense. Good book and Charlie Kirk should not be referenced in the same thought. Damn. Keeping the Sabbath in... I thought Sabbath was Saturday. Am I wrong about Sabbath? I thought it was Saturday this whole time, but I suppose Sunday makes sense too. Yeah, I mean, that's... Yeah. Busyness is not busyness. That's true. I am a fan of long dashes in my AI. It's possible. You never know. I mean, I've never seen you in person, and that's the only way you can really know if somebody is a real person, so... Yes, do all that. Okay. I'll try not to laugh at it. I need a microscope for chat replay on the screen. Okay, I mean, if that is something that people want, I can turn it on. I just didn't know people. I didn't know people that actually... Oh my goodness, I can't stop. Justin actually altogether like that. I'm out of control. I didn't know that was something that people actually looked at. Hope you've been laughing great to me. Oh, thank you. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Okay. Oh yeah, sure. We can chat. That sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean that one, that in particular, I think that is true. AI definitely is not very. It certainly wouldn't say anything like this. That's not something AI generally says. It's a lot more polite, I suppose. Okay, well, that is a lot of blabbing. Let me on since I was already blabbing about the Erica Kirk thing. I don't know if everybody has seen this already. I haven't been streaming in a little while, but there was this viral thing. Well, I say viral, but it took me like a day or two to see it. But there was this viral thing that, you know what? I was gonna say this viral thing that went viral, but how stupid is that? Oh, and also Kash Patel got hacked or something. But whatever. I mean, everybody already knew he was kind of embarrassing as a person, so that's not really surprising. But director of FBI, that's kind of awkward. All right. Let me find the thing. Oh, this was funny too. Okay, so I have two short things real quick, and then we'll start on the probably very long debate. I wonder if it's still going on. Sometimes when I go live, the debates are still going on, and it's crazy. I really hope not, because that would be very, very long. And I don't know if I want to do a whole thing again. I mean, I will, but definitely not I said it. Definitely not in one day. Okay, let me get this pulled up. Too much blabbing. My goodness. I'm out of control. I'm gonna get this over here. Oh, you know what? I never did the links. Let me pull this up, and then I'll do the links while it's going. Not that. What am I doing? Oh, this. I don't even know what I'm doing. Don't know what I'm doing. Oh my goodness. That's worse. I know how to work this. My computer has been oddly slow today, and when I purchased it, I was insured that this kind of thing would not happen and it could handle all this stuff at once, so I might have to upgrade, and I just did, so it's kind of annoying. Kind of wish I got well, you know what? It's not important. Why isn't this? Okay, it might be broken. Oh my goodness, it really is broken. Oh, come on. Oh, you know what? Crap. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem. Although I think it might already be a problem. I broke it. Oh, crap. Okay, this is getting really annoying. There we go, finally. That took an unacceptable amount of time. Okay, that looks a little weird. Let me move this like so. That's still a little weird. Small. Sorry, I'm trying to shrink it a little bit so you can see more of the screen. Okay. Maybe that was a little too much. Okay. So here. Okay, this was a little funny. Oh, no, there it is. I forgot to turn my VPN off. I usually turn it off when I stream, and I forgot. Hopefully that's not gonna be a problem. Oh my goodness. That is serious. Definitely not. I did say it. All right. So apparently this happened at CPAC.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings?
This isn't the Erica thing. I just saw it when in my saved bookmark things when I was looking for the Erica thing.
No. That was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No. Can someone bring some coffee out for the people of CPAC?
I know.
We've got to keep this House majority. How many of you agree with that? How many of you?
That was painful. Oh my goodness. That was painful to watch. Okay. So here's the Erica one. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but it's worth watching again. Also, the first time I saw this, I didn't realize that this is a Black comedian. So this is a big Black man with the white wig on, with the makeup and everything. So, okay, let me play it from the beginning.
Get on your feet!
Sorry, I don't know if that was too loud. Oh, I broke it. I'm sorry I broke it.
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
How about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart.
Or the thing.
That
Sorry,
is
the love thing.
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible.
I
Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pop cup.
organic.
Yes, everything organic.
Everything organic. Oh my goodness. I'm now embarrassed to buy things that are organic.
Four, 3, 7. Oh, Hannah, you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America,
Oh, this one too.
especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes. Because they are the ones.
Oh my goodness. You know, I forgot I had the webcam thing for the debate thing I was doing. I was laughing my ass off the whole time, didn't even see it. Which is fine. I mean, it's not important for people to watch me laugh at a thing, but I was laughing at the thing. Oh my goodness. And it was very funny with how it hit at specific moments that went sort of viral with Erica doing weird stuff, like the hand thing and the eye thing, and the whole like, oh, the white men thing that she did too. Oh, that was weird. What possessed her? Oh my goodness. Yeah, this was very good. Just a little bit of fun. That might be a little. I wouldn't necessarily go that far. You guys, it's true that Erica commented just give us. I don't. I heard that she like said something about it, but I don't know if she commented on the post or not. I don't know. I wonder if it would be like in her thing. March 20th. Oh, that's probably pinned replies. I don't see anything. I heard she commented on it, but I didn't look very closely to see if I could find the comment. That could have been either like fake info, or it could have been some other spot or something, or some other social media, maybe Instagram. She does use Instagram a lot more, and it was weird that this thing, my goodness, it was weird that she didn't use Twitter for like years, really, except for like something like 2 days before he got, he got. And then she started going crazy with it right after he died. So like from 2 days before until, well, now she's been posting basically all the time. While before that, Twitter was silent for years. Weird. It's weird. It's weird. And there's other patterns I found that are like social media related and transcript related and Jesus related. I'll give you that hint, I guess. It has to do with Jesus. So I'll probably be making a video on that. Hopefully tomorrow if I can get the script ironed out. I keep finding different stuff and I keep going down different rabbit holes and stuff like that. But it is what it is. I've been saying that a lot today. But yeah, at some point I did want to do a live stream going through some of the weird stuff. I do still want to go. Oh yeah, apparently there was a TPUSA thing where this looks a little off, where they had weird, like not very Christian things going on, hosted by what's his name? The guy who was the journalist that was doing like sending women on dates with, and a guy apparently sending women on dates with important people, getting them to spill the beans on stuff. It's right on the tip of my tongue. What was this? What is his name? My goodness, I can't think of it. Somebody remind me. Oh, by the way, I catch up on the chat. There is a dedication quite a bit. Organic. That was good too. I do get things that are organic. I feel personally attacked, but I'm not conservative, so I guess if I was also conservative and organic, then I would be in trouble. But if I only have the organic thing going on, I think I'm still halfway safe. Oh, is that for me? Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. I hope it's not jarring or anything. I know some voices can be uncomfortable. I can think of a few voices that are kind of uncomfortable to listen to. I hope it wasn't like that for me. So I'm really glad to hear that. Guys are going crazy in the chat. I'm definitely not covering that, but you guys are welcome to discuss this particular thing amongst yourselves. This is our video. If the impeachment gets cheers, he immediately tells them to not feel that way. Yes. I guess so. I kind of thought it was more funny than I think the NA stuff. I don't know. YouTube hates it, but that particular going that far might be a little too far for something I sort of found funny. I won't argue against it, but I also won't argue for it, if that makes sense, because I can see similarities, but similarities aren't enough to take it like as serious as the stuff during World War II was. I don't think it's gone that far yet, if that makes sense. So, like, for instance, I laugh at the whole, like, oh, do they want him to be impeached thing? And he gets the opposite reaction. I think that's hilarious. While I wouldn't necessarily laugh at, some of the horrific stuff that happened during the Mustache Man party situation in Europe. So I guess that's kind of where the line is for me, but I don't really mind if people make comparisons, but it's not something I really try to do because it's hard to really compare the seriousness of one with the other. Yes, all that. Okay. So apparently, O'Keefe, something O'Keefe. What was his first name? Something O'Keefe. Anyway, O'Keefe did this other journalism stuff, and then his company got taken over by somebody else. The journalism thing he did. Why is there always like a cat hair in here? After a while, it like appears. It's not there when I start, but after a while, it like magically teleports right under my nose. It is so annoying. Anyway, something O'Keefe. James O'Keefe, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tom. Nice to see you. Welcome back. Yes, James O'Keefe, thank you. So apparently James O'Keefe is now a DJ or something, and he throws parties for TPUSA, and apparently they are quite naughty for a Christian organization. As somebody that doesn't really go outside, it's kind of like, cool, whatever. But as somebody that is like a human being, it's like, oh, cool, sounds fun. But as somebody that also understands that they're supposed to be like conservative Christians who don't partake in partying in this particular way with I suppose, the go-go dancers, and I think, well, this guy talks about it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because obviously that's not what the stream is about. But anyway, I do want to do a stream where we kind of cover some of the stuff because it was kind of interesting. This is a little bit off. I'm not a fan of how this is sitting here. Keep getting sidetracked. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. Might be a little better. And then there was the thing, the turning point, with the thing, with the stuff. This is better. People showed up outside of Turning Point, and there was the Brian did. Here they are doing that. Anyway, so let's get to the other debate. And if you are interested in this kind of stream where we go through some of the TPUSA stuff, and especially what I want to do is I want to go through some of the Erica interviews and actually watch them, because I've had AI go through and read it, but some of the stuff it's not going to catch. You have to see it, and sometimes it doesn't really know what to look for. So, and sometimes if you don't see it with your eyeballs, it's hard. It doesn't know. Like some things are really visual, like I can't find stuff like her doing this. With just transcripts. So yeah, if you want to see that sort of stream, let me know. I've been kind of going back and forth whether I should do it or not. So yeah, let me know in Discord at some point if you're interested, or in the chat here or wherever, and then we'll probably do it sometime next week if people are interested in that sort of thing. I am still gonna do a standalone video on the findings regardless, but as far as sort of like, let's sit down and chill and watch a bunch of stuff about it together, that's kind of what that would be. Where is whatever? They're still live, no way. Oh my goodness, I did not think.
Therefore, it's always going to be that.
I really did not think they were gonna still be live. I mean, I'm not surprised, but a little bit. I'm a little bit surprised. Is this a little off? Let's see if I can move it a little bit over so that's better. How far are they in now? This is what, it's like 6 hours in. I mean, I guess I've done longer, but I really did not think this particular one would last that long. Okay, I suppose let's get to it. Let me mute it for a second while I go through the chat and they start. Hello. If I toss an instant Palestinian child between Kirk and Netanyahu, who would win? Well, it sounds like Charlie started to see things differently before he was got, which is suspicious. If you change your mind on something like that, publicly especially, and you have the potential to sway millions of young voters in that direction, that's dangerous. So again, it doesn't prove anything, but it's oddly suspicious, the timing of it.
Without further ado, Wilson, author of the best-selling book, Occult Feminism. Also joining us today is Driena Sixto. She's a political analyst and commentator, as well as Spanish media director for the Lincoln Media Foundation. She received bachelor's degrees in political science and international relations from Florida International University. You each get a 5 minute opening, about 5 minute, 5, 6, 7 minute opening statement each, and then we're going to head straight into opening conversation. And Rachel, you're going first with your opening statement. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thanks, Brian, for hosting this. Thanks, Driena, for coming. This is a debate I've wanted to have for a long time. It's very easy to debate like very woke leftist feminists and make them look kind of crazy. But I think that it's important that we have this discussion between women on the right as well, because I think we have a very serious problem in the media, especially with women who say they're right-wing, conservative, whatever kind of like term you want to use to say they're on that side of things. I think that just because you're not woke doesn't mean that you're conservative, and it doesn't mean that you're not feminist. So in Driena's first appearance, she said that she came to the podcast to help men and women like heal the divide and find a way to have good relationships again. She said she wants both parties to recognize what the other party brings to the table. So we'll talk about the table for sure. But I think her view and understanding of what feminism is, like most people, is based on propaganda, fallacious views of history through presentism, and just ignorance, which I don't blame her for. I'm not like calling her an ignorant person. She's a smart person. But most of us just haven't gotten the real story. We've heard a lot of things that we repeat and we don't really know why, and they're not exactly accurate. So I want to address some of that. I think that once I demonstrate that Driena actually holds a lot of more classical liberal egalitarian and therefore feminist views, what I predict is going to happen is she's probably going to want to obfuscate, do some stonewalling, and maybe even personal insults. Hopefully we don't have to go there. But I'm just going to keep redirecting it back to the topic and back to what we're here to discuss, which is feminism, especially among women on the right. Andrew calls them femcons, like feminist conservatives, but they're also kind of running a con, right? So Driena sees marriage more as a...
Kind of also running a con, okay. Also, this whole feminism thing, okay. I suppose since the debate is about feminism, I should sort of say kind of what I normally say about it. I don't have a particular opinion on it, mostly because people define it differently. I sort of think that everybody should have the same rights, but beyond that, it's kind of whatever. I would prefer not to work. I think that would be super cool, but it's also the world we live in today, and we kind of have to deal with it. So that is what it is. But yeah, I mean, feminism that's an odd one because a bunch of conservatives love accusing each other of being feminist and other people, and it's a dirty word. And I can sort of see why. There's a lot of really crazy feminist stuff that goes with it. But again, it depends on how you define it. If you say feminism is equal rights for people, and some people do define it that way, that's basically like 99% of Americans are feminist. So it depends on where you draw the line, I suppose. And this is all like, oh, you're a feminist. No, you're a feminist. No, you're a feminist. No, I'm conservative. No, I'm more conservative. So that's what it's looking like.
Interpersonal legal contract, whereas my view of marriage is a lifelong sacramental religious commitment. So we're going to have some, trying to find some common ground to talk about marriage from those very different worldviews. But the problem with this is that, she made this assertion that she's a capitalist and that she's coming at this from a conservative capitalist view. But right out of the gate in your last appearance, we saw that that's not the case because you said that you want things like prenuptial agreements, no-fault divorce, and the origins of no-fault divorce are Marxist in and of themselves. The first mention of such a thing was Frederick Engels' lifelong collaborator with Karl Marx, a revolutionary socialist.
The blue is back. Has it been back the whole time? Oh, it's weird. It's like sometimes I thought it went away, but it's back. Maybe it never went away. And this whole time I was tripping. Different waves and sub-philosophies under the feminism umbrella. There are bad apples and they're like in most isms. Yeah, that's a pretty fair assessment.
And then after he started to talk about marriage as this state contract, this no-fault divorce idea, what marriage could be, that was picked up by other people who then ran with it. The other problem that we have is this idea that women's unpaid domestic labor is capitalist, which was another assertion that you had that I would take issue with. That's another thing that is uniquely socialist and Marxist in its origins and in its nature. There were women like Marioso Della Costa and Selma James, whose work was adopted by socialist labor unions. They were the ones that came up with this idea of women's unpaid domestic labor in the home. And labor unions who wanted socialism ran with that because they thought it was a really good way to get women out of the home and into the workforce, where then the workers of the world could unite and we could get enough numbers on the socialist side to have a socialist revolution. So that is definitely not a capitalist position. That's a Marxist socialist position. And then you had this assertion to Andrew that people with prenuptial agreements get less divorce. And he argued that, okay, that could be correlated, but you can't prove that that's the cause or the reason. And I did a deep dive on that data, and he was absolutely correct. Instinctually, he didn't have data at the top of his head, but he knew that that was instinctually not causal. And when I dug into it, I in fact found that there are small like surveys they've done where it seems that people who have prenuptial agreements maybe have less divorce, but that's a selection bias issue.
Interesting that she would make this criticism about this particular point. I don't recall exactly which one, but I could probably find some clips later. But I do recall times when she and her husband have made connections kind of like that could be attributed to correlation and not causation. And apparently it's fine to do for those things that's convenient, but other people can't.
That people who have prenuptial agreements have higher incomes, they have more education, so there's nothing causal there saying a prenup is going to put you at less risk. It's more of a correlation. So I think there's just like a whole bunch of misunderstandings about this, and I'm super glad that we get to sit down and talk about this. The great Rush Limbaugh used to talk about the info babes at Fox News, the right-wing conservative media women, and say, hey, this is a problem because they're actually not conservative. They usually have a separate agenda for women. They usually have more of a classical liberal egalitarian view. And to me, that is feminist. I mean, feminism came out of the Great Enlightenment and the idea of egalitarianism, of trying to make everybody equal, social equality, social justice. So I'm happy to get into this and sort that out because I don't think it's a conversation we have enough.
And does that conclude your opening statement? Okay,
Yes, sir.
Go ahead with your opening statement, please.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. Happy to be here again. So for clarification, no, not a feminist in any way. For the first time in my life, I actually was called a feminist just a few weeks back when I was on the show by Rachel's husband. I'm pro-capitalism, pro-life. I'm pro-marriage, pro-children. I'm pro-Second Amendment, pro-small government. I am pro-U.S. Constitution, pro-homeschooling. And I believe taxation is theft. What I lovingly call repeal the 19th Rachel, and I disagree on, is that women have a right to vote and have equal rights under the law as men do. That's it. I am not here to argue in favor of feminism, and I really don't care about its history. My argument is that the root cause, like you mentioned, of most of our societal problems is the current disconnect between men and women, which has been encouraged by years by different entities, government entities, to divide and conquer us, put us at odds with one another. Not that women can finally vote. That's not what's causing it. And to help create a strong society with strong families, we need to bridge this gap, yes, between men and women and get both sides to understand the other's inherent value. I also live in reality. We are currently in a never-before-seen scenario in history, right? Unaffordability is the highest it's ever been. The gap between wages and home prices is the largest it's ever been. I believe that's by design to keep us, pissed off in a rat race, unable to reflect on really.
So far, I don't disagree with a lot. Obviously, a few things, but she does seem very, like, except for the abortion thing, she's very, like, libertarian adjacent, I guess. But there are libertarians who are also anti-abortion. I don't know if the exact counts, like percentage-wise, how many are against it for, but you could still be a libertarian and be for allowing it. Taxation is not theft. I beg to differ, but willful abdication of one's gains and salary. It is and isn't theft. Coerced social contribution. It is coercion, which is technically theft. Government is necessary where employees must be paid, not theft. I mean, you could say that employees must be paid and still steal from others to pay them. That's just because somebody has to be paid doesn't mean it's not theft if you steal from others to pay them. Anyway, that's probably a longer discussion than what this is about.
Who's behind all of this so that we can unite as a society and fight back against it. At the same time, women and men, well, women specifically, have relatively recently achieved true legal and financial equality in history. In fact, Gen X, like Rachel here, because I think it was 1980, which is the cutoff, is the first generation of women to live under true equality in the U.S., which was achieved with the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. Before that, women couldn't have credit nor get loans without a male cosigner, and that's only 52 years ago. So for the first time in modern history, women are not financially dependent on men to live. And I argue that we should extract the positive things out of this crazy situation that we're in. And that's that since men and women don't financially need each other anymore, they can choose to come together for reasons other than financial reasons, like the character of the person and, I don't know, love. Good.
Crazy.
Loyal, smart, capable, intelligent.
Crazy feminist. Love. Ew.
Emotionally intelligent men see it as their time to shine, right? Because it's not about the money anymore. It's about being kind, equally competent as an adult, equally responsible for adult responsibilities, especially if you want to have a family. And this is what most women want now, for those of you guys that are hearing this for the first time. We all know that the economy is absolute shite right now, okay? And that raising a family on a single income is a luxury that most Americans can't afford. So instead of listening to women-hating manosphere podcasts that call you men specifically losers unless you're making $1 million a year, and that say women are materialistic or promiscuous and therefore, they're responsible for the loneliness epidemic, I suggest listening to people that don't make a living off of dividing the sexes, right? And making the problem worse, which I think is evil. And if we're trying to promote strong traditional family units, well, which I am, despite the economy, men need to become the kind of leaders that women can look up to, can trust, and can depend on. And it's in a woman's nature to look for these things in men for partnership, which
I don't disagree with that point entirely. It is more. I suppose women do prefer men who show those kind of like leadership qualities. I don't know if anybody really argues against that. That seems like pretty basic stuff. When nearly $1 trillion goes to further wars and funding the bad G word, then yes, it is theft. Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes without saying. When decisions used for useful things are always massive public, it's public issue. I still disagree that I think it's still theft. It's not as bad. It's kind of the difference between like if somebody comes to you and they like steal your wallet and they run away with it and they do horrible stuff with your money, that's one thing. But if somebody comes up to you and they steal your wallet and then they give you something nice for that instead that they think you need, they still stole from you, but it's not as bad, right? So there are levels to this, but it is still theft. Hello, Scott. Welcome back. The G word. Okay. I shall let you discuss without involving myself too much in that particular one. Theft of other connotation, justified and unjustified theft might be the constellatory framing. Yeah, that is also a good way of putting it. Tom coming in with all of the reasonable takes today.
means men cutting vices that keep you weak, addicted, and with a warped sense of reality when it comes to women, like pornography, which a majority of men consume. And I argue is the single largest contributor to the decay in relationships between the sexes. And I think afterwards, women will naturally want to look forward to relationships with men more. Because why would a woman marry a man that watches porn and thinks it's okay to do that while in a relationship, which in my book is emotional cheating? Or why would she marry a man that wants her to work and split bills, which I understand is the reality of most Americans, but then isn't equally competent or responsible partner when it comes to household duties or raising children? It just sounds like an irrational deal. Or worse, why would a woman want to give children to men who think being a stay-at-home mom has no inherent value? It's just what women are supposed to do when raising.
I don't know if anybody cares what I particularly say on this particular topic, but the corn stuff, it can be a problem. It can be something that people get addicted to, and it becomes an issue for them in other areas of their life, especially like intimacy and things like that. That can be a problem. But I don't think it's on its own, it's inherently like evil or cheating or something if you happen to partake once in a while and you're in a relationship. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal if it's not like constant getting in the way of regular relationships. If it's like something you do once in a while for whatever reason, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, I know that there's a wide range of opinions on this particular one, especially conservatives do tend to be like, oh, it's, evil no matter what, in any quantity, no matter what. But that's kind of where I'm at with that. So far, those are mostly conservative positions. So I don't know why Rachel's like, oh, you're not even conservative.
Kids' right is the pillar of a strong society, and the market value of what a stay-at-home mom does is extremely high. Or worse, nowadays there's men that say women that do want to be stay-at-home wives means that they're gold diggers, when nobody ever called grandma or great-grandma a gold digger for being a homemaker her entire life, right? So the solution to our modern problems isn't telling women that they shouldn't be allowed to vote or have financial independence, which is just a stupid, sexist, losing message for the right. But to make sure...
That is kind of an interesting point. It's like either... It's like either, oh, you're a gold digger, get a job, or like, how dare you have a career? You should only want to be a mother. Some people can't make up their minds. I'm not saying everybody's like that. Not everybody's calling like stay-at-home moms gold diggers, but I have seen that. That's not like, completely like niche or anything. That's not that uncommon. Okay. Very I'm not butting into that one. Okay. Anything for me? No. Okay. I don't see anything for me personally, so we shall carry on.
That men and women value the opposite sex and what they contribute to society. And the onus is on men to hold themselves accountable and become men worthy of leading a family, because women can't and shouldn't trust men or follow men that let vices or urges control them. And without strong men, women have had to step into their masculine energy and fill that void. And that's the problem we face, not that women have rights, right? And if you disagree with basic human rights for women, then I suggest never to be a hypocrite and take a one-way trip to Iran where women don't have rights and can't vote, right? Just like I'd recommend communists here in the US to take a one-way flight to Cuba if they don't like it here so much. That's my closing statement. Well, opening statement.
Okay. Would either of you like to respond to anything you've heard there? Or?
Well, I think let's start with, what do you think feminism is? And then I'll tell you what I think feminism is.
So I don't really care because so many people have different definitions. I only care about two things.
Completely valid.
Which is women voting and women having financial independence. That's it. I'm not here to argue for feminism in any other way. Just a woman's right to vote and a woman's equal financial rights and opportunities as men. So egalitarian rights.
Okay.
That's it.
So almost everything that you stated as your values and the things you care about here and in your opening are actually classical liberal positions. They are not conservative positions. Are you aware of that?
Explain. Which ones?
So saying egalitarianism, that was part of the French Revolution, the ethos, liberty, equality, fraternity. That's a revolutionary classical liberal idea. It's not a right-wing conservative idea.
I don't care about...
I would agree that egalitarianism in itself is not specifically a conservative idea, but I do think that I dare say most modern day conservatives, or at least Republicans, or whatever the group is that are right wing, I think most of them do believe in it if you describe it as everybody gets equal rights, which is what it is. They don't agree with the weird like DEI stuff, and neither do I, honestly, but if you describe it as everybody has equal rights, very few people disagree with that. So that basically means that most people who call themselves conservative aren't really conservatives because they think that everybody should have equal rights, which is a wild take, honestly. That is a wild take. Oh, okay, I don't see. If it's conservative, if you consider libertarians to be part of it, which means Orthodox traditionalist Christian conservatives basically doing what leftists do, where everyone left of Orthodox is left wing, Jews, Cosmo type thing. Yeah, I kind of see that. I don't think I don't think she's really libertarian. She has some crossover with libertarians, but she certainly leans more conservative from everything she's described so far.
So this is,
and there are, as far as conservatives and right-wingers, there is a lot of crossover between libertarians and conservatives when it comes to things like the economy. But a lot of times Republicans will claim they're for free markets and all the like libertarian economic ideals, but then they'll go and vote for stuff completely opposite of that, which is wild. But the economy, I think, is where it ends, really, for the most part, the similarities. The girl on the right would be libertarian, I'm yeah, I mean, I suppose you could put her in that bucket, but I do see a few differences that aren't. Well, no, because like I was saying earlier, the libertarians do also disagree on quite a few things, but I don't think she's quite like full libertarians, but she's very close.
this might be a short, debate.
Well, you said you were a conservative,
yes.
so.
Again, the only argument I'm making is that all citizens have inherent values. Doesn't matter the sex, doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter the nationality, ethnicity, or anything. I want you to make me an argument why you think that shouldn't be the case, why women should be held
So you said
not have the same
if you
rights.
don't like America, you can leave, right? If you don't think America's the best, you can leave. We care about American foundational values,
Western
right?
values.
Okay, well, you said America, but let's just say Western. Okay, are you aware that this country was not founded on the idea of universal suffrage? That's a new progressive idea.
I know that it was not originally working that way, but the U.S. Constitution and the idea of the United States absolutely saw us all as equals. And then throughout the years, we had to super specifically define it because, it wasn't put that blatant from the beginning of time. But it's there in the Constitution that we all have inherent rights from God as equal human beings.
That's funny because it took until the progressive era to pass the 19th Amendment, which was a progressive piece of legislation. It was not conservative. So all I'm trying to do is say, please don't use the label conservative if you're actually a classical liberal. So let's just get that straight. All of your positions are classical liberal positions, and you're doing what a lot of MAGA babes do. They're like, I like Trump and I want to deport illegals, and I'm not super woke, therefore I'm conservative. That's why I don't use the label conservative because it means nothing anymore, because people like you are actually libertarians. You're classical liberals. You lean more progressive than not, and you call yourself conservative and then say, I'm the radical weirdo who's like this crazy person.
Yeah, well, there's limited amounts of titles on what to call people's individual political beliefs. There's usually just conservative, libertarian, Republican, Democrat.
Don't you have
and
a degree
everybody
in
has
political science?
And yeah. And
so why are you not aware that you're a classical liberal?
No, because that wouldn't specifically define my ideas. My personal ideas are way too broad. You can't just put
what are
too
some
much
conservative positions that you have?
Conservative positions, I believe taxation is that we should
That's a
have
libertarian idea.
Yeah, which our founding fathers were very much for.
The first thing George Washington did was institute the tax, and we fought a whiskey rebellion over it. So no, the founders were not against taxation. Maybe the income tax,
without representation,
but we have representation, and they said now that we have representation, we're going to tax you. So it is not a conservative idea to be completely against taxation. That is a libertarian idea.
It's and I still believe it's true that it is still theft.
So let's find the conservative positions.
Because anything that is done through coercion, right, is theft. You don't pay taxes.
That's a libertarian. That's a dyed-in-the-wool libertarian position, which is cool. I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with that. But then you're a libertarian.
You can't put that title on me because it doesn't also
then
qualify
tell me
everything
any position you have. Any position you have that's conservative.
So I believe in our Second Amendment rights, right?
That's also a classical liberal value.
Okay, so I'm a little bit of this and that, right?
No, you're just a.
I would say Second Amendment is pretty much standard, like also conservative. Not that nobody else believes in Second Amendment rights. It's very. I would say that's when you look at the two main factions, if you think of it as like conservatives versus what is it? Suppose like leftists or Democrats versus Republicans. The two main factions, it's gun rights versus not gun rights. Those are one of the main things people fight over. So how is that not conservative? I don't get it. I think that's one of them. That seems to fit for me, but it was the Democrat Party that fought against women's right to vote. Oh. Yeah, I keep hearing this thing of like, oh, the party switched, but that sounds like bullshit to me, honestly. What does it mean when they switched? That makes no sense. people are in different parties, and parties over time have different people in them, and their positions change over time too. I don't know what this like switch things mean. Like they literally came together one day and they were like, okay, you guys be us and we're gonna be you from now on. That makes no sense. But I've heard that so many times, even from adults in my life. I've heard, oh, well, it was different back then because the parties, they switched. Sorry, what? I still hear it today. It's crazy. I think Rachel means self-defense or tyranny rights come from classical liberalism. Could be. Any freedom is left. To be fair, it doesn't seem like she's saying left-wing, but libertarian, which freedom and libertarian does tend to go together. But this is weird to me, like trying to cut people out from your faction because there's a few things, like you're not, the whole like women's voting thing, that's not going away, Rachel. I know you think it is, but it's not going away. Like you're stuck with it now. You better convince women of your worldview, and you're not going to be doing a good job if all you do is cut women out of it. The more you cut women out of your camp, I know she says she's not a conservative, but she's basically like gatekeeping conservatism right here. She's like, well, what positions do you have that are conservative? And basically like, oh, I'm so much more conservative than you are. You're so like not conservative enough. Like, how else do you interpret this? That's what's going on here. Obviously, any reasonable person, you sit them down, you have them watch up until this point, and you're like, what's going on here? Well, obviously the other chick thinks she's more conservative than the other one, and for some reason claims not to be. It's weird. One is claiming to be a conservative, but she's supposedly not. And the other one's claiming not to be conservative, but she supposedly is. Don't ask me to explain. But it is weird because if you want your faction to grow and to convince people to vote your way, which does include women currently, and probably will for like as long as this country is around, how do you expect to do that when you keep cutting them out of your little gang? If you want people to do things your way, you gotta convince them to do things your way, not like exclude everybody from your little camp and shrink it as little as possible. That's like the opposite of what you want to do politically. You want to get as many as people as possible into your camp rather than exclude people who like claim to be conservative. This is so crazy. Okay, I mean it.
Classical liberal. I'm looking for one.
It doesn't have to make sense. All right.
One conservative.
But you just called me libertarian.
That's classical liberal is libertarian. They're the same thing.
So I'm a mix of both.
Political science major, by the way. Don't go to college. It's a giant waste of money.
I actually agree with that.
Awesome.
I actually agree with that. You know, I went to school and I got my degrees, and thankfully I'm working in the field that I went to school for. But you can learn most everything about politics and international relations.
Well, yeah, I'm still waiting to hear.
By staying in the loop of things. I actually do tell people don't go to college unless you're going to go get a STEM degree. In fact, I think I got myself most of my positions by skipping classes and actually being active in the community and experiencing reality rather than just reading political theories and books, which I had to do as well.
But you just want one conservative, just one, and then I'll move on from this point. Just one actually conservative position.
Conservative position. Yes. I'm very pro-family. I'm very pro-life. That is.
So you're against abortion?
Yes, I'm against abortion.
And if you're pro-family, how do you feel about gay marriage?
I think that basically.
Why can't you take that and move on? Like, what is this? Like, oh, no matter what she says, somehow it's not conservative enough. What is this? Like, what the actual fuck is going on here? She's like, oh well, that's not gun rights. That's not conservative. That's like a classical liberal. That's not conservative. Pro-life. That's not conservative either. Because well, do you is abortion? What do you think about that? You don't think people should be able to do abortions? Ooh, that kind of sounds conservative. Damn. Well, what about gay rights? What do you think about that? Huh? What do you think about that? You said family, right? Well, what about that kind of family? She's like, she's not happy with anything she's given when any handful of these things already are conservative enough for most people. That she's like trying so hard to like find any reason to reject everything. To be like, oh well, that's not conservative enough. Gun rights not conservative. Oh, well, if you think the gay people should be able to do this thing, well, that's not conservative enough. You got to be more conservative than that. Even though the party, like Republicans, which most conservatives are Republicans, or at least vote Republican. Republicans have also sort of moved towards the gay marriage sort of concept, the gay marriage rights. So,
the government should have never gotten involved in marriage in the first place.
But you said you live in reality, and that right now the government's involved, and it's a government contract, which is why women need prenups and all this stuff. You said we live in reality, so we live in reality right now where gay marriage is legal. Are you for that or against that?
If the gays want to come into a partnership together, then they should have legal protections.
So gay marriage, you're pro-gay marriage.
I'm not pro-gay marriage. I'm saying if two people want to live together and...
Yeah, I think it's different. The framing here kind of matters. If you're pro something, it sounds like you want that thing to happen, and you're like, oh, this is such a great thing because this and this and that. That's like being pro something. Being sort of like accepting of something is different. It's like, well, I'm not really a fan of it, but it should be allowed. That is, I wouldn't call that being pro something. Now, if she's like, oh, well, gay marriage is so cool because you get to this and this and that, and people should be doing it, or somehow selling people on it, or of like, oh, how cool it is, or what you get if you get gay married or whatever, that's really attractive to people. I don't know. Whatever. If it was something like that, that would be like pro getting gay married. But if it's like, I'm sort of fine with people doing it, and I don't want to jail them if they try, that's sort of like acceptance, I guess. I wouldn't call it pro or against, but I suppose like pro having the right to. So pro having the right to be gay married is a little bit different than being pro gay marriage, if that makes sense. Dems and Reps both transition. Is it a myth? Fergie has a video debunking the switch. Rachel considers herself a patriarchist, not trad or conservative. Sure, but like all of the things that she's trying to sell are supposedly conservative because she's shutting down everything that this chick thinks is conservative, and apparently everything that Rachel says she believes, apparently like those things are conservative. So I'm not going to call myself conservative, but all of the opinions I hold are more conservative than you. So like, come on. It's one of these things where, again, I feel like conservatism is in the meta category, and you have Christian trads, libertarians, and anarcho-capitalists being subcategories of conservatism. I don't fully agree. So I do think that there are some libertarians and anarcho-capitalists that are conservative also. A few, especially like anarcho-capitalists aren't generally conservative, but I would say like libertarians and ANCAPs are not under the conservative. I think that's something else. Like conservative is not the same. I wouldn't say libertarians and ANCAPs are under conservative. Like I don't think conservative is like the big group, and like libertarians are like part of the big group, and they're sort of like their own like subcategory. I don't think I agree with that. What? Law versus moral. Libertarians think most things should be legal or not illegal so they can apply their own morality without third-party permission. Yeah, that makes sense. I tend to agree with that. Wait, that sounds like it's from a movie. So you can be Christian and libertarian. Yeah, that is true. Some Christians just want to gatekeep their religion and conflate politics with spirituality. I do agree with that. You can be Christian and libertarian, and those people do tend to be more conservative. But I think, I don't know. Personally, it's hard to, because everybody thinks that they're like their version of libertarian is the right one and everybody else is wrong. I think libertarians probably fight amongst themselves more than they fight against anybody else, which is crazy. But I don't think that libertarianism is really compatible with conservatism. But that's kind of my version of it. I'm sure that there's other people that call themselves libertarian that would also call themselves conservative, but I won't harp on it too much. We can let them talk.
And have to legally sign that they are in a civil union so that one can go to the hospital for the other and be admitted the same rights that married couples do, then they need to go do that. I'm in favor of that. But I don't think that the government should have gotten into marriage in the first place. The reality is, however, that marriage does afford certain privileges that unmarried couples do have.
Right. So
that's
would you, are you in favor then of gay marriage? Because it kind of dodged around. Do you just want civil unions that are different from then how I'm married or how you would get married?
I mean, most, I guess, gay couples, I think, just wanted the same legal rights and tax benefits of married couples, not the fact that they could get an address and a tuxedo and go in a church and get married, because then they would have to take it up with the church itself.
Right. See, and this is the problem with your libertarian position of turning marriage into a contract with the state, is that you have no grounds on which to say the gays can't get married. Because your reasons for men and women getting married are going to be
the libertarian position is to not have contracts with the state. The libertarian position is to not have basically anything to do with the state that you possibly can. Like, libertarian position by default is like anything you could avoid doing with the state. That's like the best, the best option. If you can avoid doing anything with the state, perfect. So I don't know what this like. Oh, libertarians are pro like state marriage. That doesn't even make sense at all. Would it make sense if I told you I'm legally libertarian, morally trad, socially liberal, and fiscally conservative? I would say that most libertarians are socially liberal and fiscally conservative, but most conservatives aren't fiscally conservative, except most conservatives aren't as fiscally conservative as they say they are, but most libertarians really are fiscally conservative. So when libertarians try to work with like Republicans who are mostly conservative on fiscally conservative things, for some reason it seems to not work because they're not as fiscally conservative as they say they are. But legally libertarian and morally trad, socially liberal and fiscally conservative does make sense, because socially liberal and fiscally conservative is most libertarians, and morally trad is, as long as that's like, I don't think people should do X, Y, and Z, but I'm not going to legally stop them. If I'm understanding that correctly, that sounds like a lot of libertarians as well. That's pretty like standard libertarian, I would say. So that does make sense. Absolutely. Yes, no treading on nobody. Not liking the half in that, but I'll allow it. Very spirited chat here. I see really as rules for oneself. No, yeah, that's pretty standard libertarian, I would say. All right, let's let them carry on.
exact same reason.
I just realized it's like two blondes fighting.
That you're going to say gay couples should get
It
married.
has always been, even before churches existed and Christianity and all that. Marriages, civil unions have always had some kind of legal contract and observed within the communities. That, like in Rome, for example, right, there were certain privileges and certain responsibilities that were given to civilly married unions.
You're talking about pagan Rome or Christian Rome?
Before, yeah.
Pagan Rome?
Yep.
Okay.
And there's been again the union of man and woman since the beginning of time, right?
Yes.
Even in the Bible,
but
man
it was
and
not.
woman became
Wait, hold
one.
on, let her finish.
Yeah, man and woman became one before God, not before the church, right? I think that's how I personally see marriage myself. I think that if two people want to come together and call themselves, a
Giggity.
couple officially before God, that's it. And then obviously you're going to want to get legally married because of the benefits that exist. But that's what I care about. And again, that's just my personal opinion. I still want to, again, get an argument from you as to why women should not be able to vote. Why, Rachel?
Well, first,
Or
I just let you talk, so now I'm going to talk. I'm going to respond to everything you just said. First of all, you didn't give me a straight answer. You gave me a whole bunch of gobbledygook and wandering, meandering nonsense to say that basically.
And you're different how? Mrs. Rachel, what? Pot calling the kettle black? Or blonde calling the blonde gobbledygook? Okay. I am dumber for having seen this. Two blondes are really cute, is it too? It almost sounds like, you know what, I'm not gonna.
at the beginning of this and in your last appearance, you were like, oh, I live in reality where the government is part of the contract. That's actually not true. So the first people to make marriage not a sacrament of the church, governed by the ecclesiastical authority of the church, was Alexander Kollontai under Vladimir Lenin during the Bolshevik Revolution. In 1917, Russia was the first place in the world that we had a state contract governed by the state with no-fault divorce. That is not a Christian institution. It's not even an ancient pagan institution, as you noted, but back in those days, even under pagans, it was more of a family contractual agreement where you're marrying for the purpose of two families kind of uniting, and a lot of things went into that. But no, this is brand new. This idea of marriage as just this personal contract you have with somebody that's governed by the state is only about 100 years old. And you basically just told me that you're pro-gay marriage. So I'll answer.
Put words in my mouth.
Then you have to answer either yes or no. Are you for gay marriage rights or not? You are for human rights. You're for rights. Are you for...
Okay, that's different than what she was asking earlier. If you're for gay marriage, now she's asking, are you for gay marriage rights, which is a different question.
For the law, yes.
Right. Are you for gay marriage rights? Should gays be able to have the same legal marriage that men and women have?
Yes.
Okay, that's not a conservative position. So
In your opinion.
I'll answer your why should women not vote question as soon as you give me one position, just one on anything where you're actually conservative.
I've just mentioned a few. I am
Actually conservative.
again pro-life. I am pro-marriage. I am pro-small government.
So you would. Well,
I'm
small government is like.
And the pro-2A thing, I think all of those things are pretty like standard conservative stuff. Maybe not the taxation is theft part. That's a little more libertarian than most conservatives. But at least like the pro-2A, the anti-abortion, the pro-family, whatever that means. And the whole like gay marriage or not gay marriage thing, I think most Republicans at least seem like they kind of are whatever on the topic. I don't see anybody really fighting against it anymore. Not a lot of people. I mean, about as many people as I see fighting against like women's right to vote is about that many that I see fighting against like somehow legally preventing gay people from getting married. So probably the same crowd.
Like
US fiscal conservative. I'm a constitutionalist, right? So yeah, all of those things constitute a lot of conservative values.
So you're pro-life.
Yes.
So you would be against abortion in pretty much all circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll give you that one. That's the only one that I can come up with that makes you anything remotely conservative. So good job on that. But
Anything remotely conservative. Okay. I already named all the things that I thought were conservative enough, but like that's really pushing anything remotely conservative. Okay.
why do I think women shouldn't vote? Well, I'll tell you why I think women shouldn't vote. So
Well, if gun rights isn't remotely conservative or anything else, like, sure, whatever.
you did a lot of hard work trying to get Trump reelected. You're very pro-Trump, and you want to help Republicans, right? And part of the reason you don't like this gender war is because you're like, look, this is a terrible position for the right. You're alienating all the female voters, right?
Yes, that's partially correct, yeah.
If women didn't vote anymore, we would never have another Democrat president. We would never have another Democrat Senate, and we would never have another Democrat Congress.
You're right, Rachel. You're
so that's
absolutely
one
right.
of the reasons that because of the values I hold, which are actually a lot more conservative, even though I don't like the term, I don't really care about Republicans versus Democrats, I think that the big tent...
If you don't really... It sounds like you care quite a bit, Rachel. It sounds like you really do care, Republicans versus Democrats. So, like, you can't go in the spiel and basically, like, oh, you're not conservative enough for me. I'm the, gatekeeper of what conservatism, I keep saying it weird, conservatism means. But then turn around and be like, oh, I'm not conservative. I'm not any of that. I don't care. Whatever, man.
Republicanism is just liberalism at a slower speed, like what you believe in. I don't believe in that. I'm a patriarchist. I'm an Orthodox Christian. I would be a monarchist if I could. But if we care about the things we say we care...
What do you mean, if I could? Nobody's preventing you from having an opinion of being a monarchist. Like, you can be a monarchist. You're not getting in your way, but you're also probably not getting in your way of preventing women's right to vote. Like, you're probably not getting most of the things that are different from what other people want. So, okay, what is preventing you from being like, oh, I believe in this like monarchy thing? Just because you're not gonna get it doesn't mean you can't be that. Like, I'm probably not gonna get a libertarian government. I can be a libertarian if I want to. That's not, nobody's like preventing me from being that. That's weird. It's like her husband saying like, oh, you can't be into kings and queens or whatever, which would be weird because she's parroting everything else he says, like all the same arguments and everything down to the same words, which isn't surprising. I mean, when people get married, they tend to do that. But like for this one thing, she isn't allowed somehow. Okay, Queen Wilson. Definitely, probably a libertarian. I mean, a little bit. Rachel the I. Rachel the I or the L? I kind of like Rachel the L better. Maybe that was... I'm gonna go with that's a lowercase L rather than an uppercase I. Oh, the first. Rachel the First sounds better, but Rachel the L sounds more fun. I don't know. I don't know if there has ever been a previous Rachel to make her not the first. That is kind of... It sounds like a pretty modern name. There's probably like a dozen Victorias or something. Or Henrys. How many Henrys are there? I know there's at least 8, but I wonder if there's more than that.
About like small government, letting women vote ensures you will never have that again. The reason the 19th Amendment was passed was because the progressive era liberals wanted to pass the income tax, they wanted to pass the Federal Reserve Act, they wanted a nanny state with welfare, and they wanted pro-immigration open borders. And they knew that if you only let men vote, you're never going to get that agenda passed. The whole progressive agenda would have never been passed without women voting. Okay. And that's why I think that we should have some kind of restriction, as we had at the founding, where it's not just one person, one vote. There's a lot of ways you could do that. I'm not saying you have to just say no females voting, although
Okay, that's different. And this is something she has done in previous debates as well. She's like, well, I don't want women to vote because they want to make us not conservative, even though I'm not a conservative. Whatever, we'll pretend that makes sense. But then she also do this thing like, oh, well, maybe it doesn't have to be like a not women thing. How about we just make it based on, I don't know, like property or taxes or something, which is a completely different concept, okay? If you have any other thing besides like, oh, women aren't allowed, that's a different concept entirely. Even if you do, like, if you one vote per household, not that bad, to be honest. Even if you do something like that, there are a lot of households that are single women. That doesn't... The only thing you're doing with one vote per household is you're basically removing all the votes of the married women and making the votes of the single woman count more, because a single woman is a household. I don't know if people know that, but that is... When you file taxes, you are a household. And there's one of you in it. So, sure, if you wanna have your vote being sort of like canceled out by all those people who are single, like, sure, whatever, we can do that. Having your own estate property pushes one to be way more considered, deliberate, and responsible in their outlook. Couldn't household family decide for the woman to go vote? I mean, sure, I'm assuming that's what happens a lot of times already. Like, if you want to be traditional and sort of vote for whatever your husband wants you to vote for, like, I'm sure that already happens. Nobody's, like, preventing that from being the case. There's no way to prevent that from being the case, really. That's fine. I mean, if you want to do what somebody else does, it's not, like, wrong or illegal. It's like, I want to do what that person does that happens to be my husband. Like, okay. Whatever. I don't care. So that, what I'm saying is, it's a different concept if you say, if it should be based on gender, or if you say that, oh, it should be based on having property or paying a certain amount of taxes or something like that. And if you say, well, it's going to disproportionately affect women if this is enacted, that's still an entirely different concept. I'm seeing the same thing with, not to bring this up again, but I'm seeing the same thing with force doctrine. They're like, well, because most people that enforce stuff is men, then this is like a men thing, just because most people, just because like this is a mostly men thing, that means it's like men as a category do this thing. But that is a category error. That's not how that works. It's not about being male. It's about there happen to be more of these people doing this thing, but it's not that it's men doing it. It's that they happen to be mostly male. Those are different things. Same here. It's like, it's a different concept if you say, well, no women allowed versus it's going to disproportionately affect women. And if your goal really is like, oh, well, they have to contribute in this particular way to vote, that is a completely different concept, not only morally, but practically as well, because you are going to have a lot of women, and like, yes, women participating in this makes it like a not like a no women allowed thing. That then it's a different kind of category, and they're constantly, both her and her husband are constantly making these same category errors in different contexts, and it is what it is. But it's sort of, it's not surprising that they're doing it again in this context when I'm so used to them doing it with the forced doctrine thing. Now, I mean, if it was one of a per household, the couple could decide for whoever they prefer to vote. Maybe the man of the household doesn't care about politics or whatever. Oh, okay, so they still do get one. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, but then you do understand that would mean that a bunch of single women would be a household too. So I don't know if that's going to work out. And I don't think that's going to work out as well as people who would advocate for that kind of thing would expect it, would want it to work out, rather. But, all right, let's carry on here.
I think that's a great idea for a lot of reasons that we can get into. But you could do things like net positive taxpayers. You could do anything where you have to have skin in the game. But I agree with if what
Yeah, again, those are completely different things than making it gender-based. Completely different concepts, even if they happen to disproportionately affect one group or another.
you care about is keeping this conservative agenda that you say you want for us, and the social and fiscal conservatism, the fastest way to ensure that you never get that passed is letting women vote.
Yes, Rachel, that is factually correct because most women vote left-wing, right? Even though most white women do vote Republican after the 1980s for president. But you're making the argument that because people disagree with my personal political beliefs, that I should take away their right to vote. I'd like to, and I disagree with that. I think that the way to get people to vote how I want them to is by arguing that my ideas are better than somebody else's, not taking away somebody else's right to vote. Because then you'd have to make the argument, Rachel, that we should take away black people's rights to vote, or that would be a good thing.
Why?
Why
would we have to say
finish.
That's actually a really great argument, and I know she's gonna try to like weasel around that somehow, but that logically does lead to that.
Because black people vote 80 to 90% Democrat in every presidential election, which is a racist, obviously, position to have. You don't tell people, and your ultimate solution isn't to stop people from voting because you don't get what you want. It's making arguments to convince said people that your ideas are better.
Well, I don't give a crap about democracy. I don't like the.
I'm glad to clarify
Yeah,
that.
I don't. I'm not a democracy enjoyer.
Okay.
I know that you. I know you think that's no.
I'm not a democracy enjoyer either. I'm okay with kind of the system that we have, which isn't really a democracy, has aspects of democracy, and I'm okay with that. I would not want any kind of pure democracy, but that doesn't answer the question. I do wonder if she's going to answer it. I mean, at some point she has to, right? But it does logically lead to, like, if the reason why you say that, like, women shouldn't be able to vote is because they're going to vote in a way I don't like, okay, well, that also applies to basically anybody who isn't white. So then you're left with the obvious here. I don't know. There's no way. It does logically lead there. There's no way. There is no honest way to get around this one. I'm sure there is some way to talk out of it, but that's where it goes. Monarchy isn't exactly what democratic republics have been yearning for, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, I mean, being a monarchist is unusual, I would say. Very, very unlikely to happen to America. United States, whatever.
Americanism, like the American ethos. So many places. America was not founded as a democracy, and if you went to school,
but everything else that she claims to believe is very conservative. So I don't know. Except for the women voting thing and the monarchism thing that she apparently isn't allowed to believe. So I guess we're not discussing that. Okay, but everything else is basically kind of standard conservative stuff, and I don't know why she's like, oh, I'm not a conservative, even though she's here like defending it. Okay,
for this, I would expect that you would know more about this. It was not a universal suffrage democracy. It was a very extremely limited suffrage representative republic. That's not what we have now. So I am, if you want to call me the traditionalist, yeah, it's a representative republic.
It's a constitutional republic because the Constitution guarantees that individual rights aren't aren't trampled upon, right? And that we still have certain things that we do vote on, policy differences, but the Constitution gives everybody certain inalienable rights.
Yes,
and so that is what the country was founded upon.
This is what I have a problem with, though.
You have a problem with the
Yes, I do.
Constitution.
I do have a problem with it. This is why, and I know you think that's some big dunk, like, oh, she's I can't believe she said that out loud, but I'm going to explain why, and everyone's going to agree with me. The fundamental flaw in our government is this idea that, oh, we can just keep changing it.
Wait. What is this?
Yes, I do. I do have a problem with it. This is why, and I know you think that's some big dunk, like, oh, she's I can't believe she said that out loud, but I'm going to explain why, and everyone's going to agree with me.
Is this bird hands? Or is this like, what is, I don't know, it's hard to say. I don't know if I can't definitively say this is bird hands.
Flaw.
It's more like a vertical bird hand. It's like an upside down bird hand. It's not like a fully standard bird hand.
In our government is this idea.
It went. No, because it's more of like a pointing. It's more of like a pointing downward. So I don't know. I don't think that's a bird hand. It's very close to one, but I can't honestly say that's like a full-on bird hands.
That, oh, we can just keep changing it. So what it was founded as is not what it has become. We have become this ultra-progressive society, and that was built in. It's a fatal flaw.
Double bird hands. I don't know. That does look like double bird hands together. The double bird hands together right there. I mean, that's much. Earlier, I wasn't sure because it was kind of like up and down, but the double bird hands, I don't know. That looks awfully a lot like bird hands. Hello, B.S. Lewis. Welcome. Half Nelson bird hand. Hello. Bickering hands. Hello. Kung Fu crane technique. Nice. Listen. Hello. Oh, you know what? I forgot to post in the Discords. I was here blabbing and I was gonna post it while I was showing the weird like Erica Kirk thing earlier, and I totally forgot about it. I'm gonna do that. Now. Because I keep forgetting to post the lives and it's becoming a problem. All right, enjoy the bird hands.
I'm not a constitutionalist. I don't believe in democracy because democracy
that was like
means everybody gets a say. I don't want everybody to have a say.
Oh, the bird hands are back. Okay. This is like double bird hands, but they're kind of like sad birds. They're like kind of off to the side birds. They're like not very confident bird hands, I would say.
I don't want people who have more to gain from voting to take money out of my pocket to have the same say as people who are net positive taxpayers.
I agree with
I don't
that.
want people who are contributing.
She's doing it again, the bird hand. I don't know if can you see with the chat with the way it is? No. Oh, I can't really see. She's still doing bird hands, but like on the table. Endangered list bird hands. I do really like birds, so I don't know. I'm conflicted. I'm very conflicted.
To the system. This is what it is, though. You have Somalian daycare scammers who are getting millions of dollars for free because of scams, but the rest of us have to go to work, and if we don't pay our taxes, the IRS is down our throats. They're about to put us in jail.
I agree.
You have welfare queens. You have people taking more from the system than they're getting. This is a terrible idea, and the inherent flaw is this idea that just because you live here, you should have.
What is this? That is bird hands. That right there with the like. Right, that is absolutely bird hands. No question about it. That is definitely
a say
so
in
let's
how
work
the
on
government
those
is run.
flaws, right? Let's work on those flaws instead of.
Oh, she's doing bird hands too. She's doing it.
Blanket statement.
It's a fatal flaw. It's built in.
They're both doing it. She's doing bird hands. The other one. I think I'm in the way. Let me move myself so y'all can see the bird hands. Let me put myself up here so you can see the bird hands. I think the chat might be a little bit in the way of the other one, but I don't want to get too crazy with it. Let's see if I can real quick. Can I do this? Will this work? It might be a little weird, but I think it should work. I think it will be okay. I don't know. I don't love it. But let's try it for a minute. Just until I get over the bird hand things.
everybody that I don't like from voting.
Okay, but you didn't let me finish. It's not a bug, it's a feature. You can't take it out. Your classical liberal foundation of everybody has rights. You don't care about duties. You care about rights. You're going to say everyone should have rights. Okay, let's get into that then. Well, first of all, I want to go back to your assertion that we'd have to say black people can't vote. That's atrocious and ridiculous, and I didn't say that, and I wouldn't say that. However, if black women didn't vote, that would help. If white women didn't, if all women didn't vote, we would not be battling.
Okay, but she's arbitrarily saying, well, one thing is unacceptable, but the other thing is acceptable. Because if your bird hands do the thing, if you're doing the thing with the thing, because if your whole reason for, oh, well, women shouldn't vote is because of the result being, well, the Democrats are going to win. If that is the reasoning, the same reason would apply to everybody who's not white. So if you arbitrarily say, well, that doesn't count. Okay, but that was your reason, and your reason does logically lead to this. So, okay. Whatever. It's freedom hands. The birds are actually eagles. That sounds so bad, except how it sounds good. It actually applies to anyone who votes Democrat, including liberal men. That's true. That is true. Basically, take any sort of category of people who happen to vote primarily Democrat and arbitrarily say, well, they're not allowed to vote now because I don't like it when they do. Like, okay, sure. I just realized the thing is a little bit off. I think I might have moved it on accident earlier. And now it's overlapping. You know what? It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna move myself back anyway after a little bit. Right after I get over the bird hands.
Trans kids who wouldn't be battling. Yeah, it's going to be quite the clip. Women voting is the larger issue because this is why they wanted to give women the vote, because women are easily swayed, they're easily propagandized, they tend to vote on emotion. Don't interrupt me. I'm not done.
Let her finish. Hold on, let her finish.
I'm not done.
Go ahead.
Women.
She was interrupting her like the whole time too. So what is this like attitude?
Vote. They've done a lot of, I have a whole book on this at home that I'm reading, where they've done all this research on women and how and why they vote. And they will vote, things like the Nixon-Kennedy election, women voted for Kennedy not because they knew anything about policy or because he had better ideas. You're still stuck in this paradigm that we're in a war of ideas. Most women don't think that way. They're not going and researching the issues. They go, he's tan and handsome, I like him. He's bald and he's shiny on TV and I don't like him. I don't like his tone. And so they don't vote for him. I think this is like not my opinion. This is what they say in exit polling. This is what all of these political PACs who are desperately trying to get women's votes find when they do the research.
I've already done the spiel at some point about how I kind of find it annoying that people think that tone doesn't matter for some reason. I've already done the spiel on it. I guess I'll sort of sum it up. If it didn't matter so much, then people wouldn't keep reminding us how much it doesn't matter while everybody else points out that it does matter. Anyway, it seems like tone is important to human beings in general, and people who complain the most about people noticing tone tend to have things happen where their tone exposes their more unsavory sort of feelings and positions that they would rather people not notice. That's kind of where I am with that. And then they complain that people notice the tone for whatever reason because it kind of exposes who they are, because our tone does communicate our feelings about things and opinions and who we are as people too. It's our tone matters quite a bit. That's why we have it. We have it and we use it because it matters. If it didn't matter, we would all talk flat with no tone or emotion whatsoever. Clearly, it matters. Actually, I always say that don't interrupt me, BS in debates. It's the equivalent of soccer players throwing themselves on when barely brushed. If tone doesn't matter, why match energy in debates? Yeah, I don't get it. It's all the like, oh, it's tone policing. Like, okay. Anybody who complains about tone policing, they don't have manners. That's it. They don't have manners, and then they complain when people notice. Sorry.
Women vote for security, They vote for a nanny state, and they vote for progressive policies because those sound nicer. That's why in every political cycle, you see all these commercials coming from the Democrats going, Republicans want to take away school lunch, and they want to kill your grandma, and they don't want her to have her Medicare anymore, because women see that and they're like, I have to protect the innocent babies. They're so helpless. Women shouldn't be in politics because it weaponizes our maternal instinct against our own interests. So that's why you see women trying to fight ICE agents in the streets, even if the illegal guy has, CP and,
liberal women
great,
doing that.
Yeah, well, I've argued with conservative women about this as well. Yes, they see ICE dragging people out. They see families getting separated, or they see kids behind a fence or whatever. And they're like, we can't do it this way, guys. We can't. And so even people like Trump will back off on what they want to do because the women freak out and they're like, we can't do this. It's too mean.
Okay, are we done here? On your rant?
Oh, like you didn't rant and prattle and meander with your stuff.
It sounds like you have a lot of disdain for women in general.
Absolutely not. I think women are wonderful in their maternal role.
Yes, I'm sure that you would love to have kind of a say on what women can and can't do and what their roles in society should be. I disagree with that. I do think women should be encouraged to become mothers, and we need strong women to lead families and have and raise great kids. However, I am not using women's natural biological differences as basically fodder against their right to vote, basically.
Even if it costs you your liberty and it costs you all of your things that you value?
They voted for a majority of them for Republican in the last election. So it does show that with the right arguments, you can convince people to vote Republican. That is a factual statement of recent elections that happened. So Rachel, if you are just bad at showing people why it's better to not vote and for women to live under the rule of men and only have them make political and financial decisions for them, then just say that, right? In my opinion.
Ooh, burn, damn.
In my opinion.
I mean, she's not wrong. She's not wrong. If you can't make the right arguments, maybe your position is just shitty. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe your position is shitty, and that's where we are with that. And if you can't make good enough arguments for it, you can't convince people to go along with it, maybe that's where we have to leave it in the shitty idea pile. And that's all it is. That maybe it's not that deep. Rachel being there is a contradiction in itself. I'm sure she'd say something like, "Oh, well, I do it on my husband's behalf," or whatever. Yeah, sure.
I've spent over the last decade on college campuses talking to students from the left, to men and women, basically on why conservative values are better to sway them to my side. I don't show up on a campus and tell 18-year-old girls, hey, you're just too dumb, and your hormones fluctuate, and you totally should leave all political decisions to men. I think you can't handle yourself, and that's why you should totally believe what I say, and stop voting in the future. Let's talk about.
I get to reply to that. I get to reply to that first.
No, you went on for quite some time, so let me finish.
I'm going to reply to what you just said, because you just said you must really hate women. You must have all this disdain.
I think anybody watching will say that you don't like women, or you hold women of lesser value than men, and I disagree with that.
Okay, well, I'll prove to you that that's not true. Okay. Before the passage of the 19th Amendment, the groups, we had two groups. We had the pro-suffrage side. And
why do you?
Let her finish.
We had two different groups, pro-suffrage and anti-suffrage. The vast majority.
Let her finish. She just decided she was going to talk anyway when the other lady was starting to ask a question. No, you can't ask me questions. I'm going to butt it in anyway, and nobody can tell me otherwise. That's not very ladylike.
Majority of women were absolutely against the 19th Amendment and women's voting rights. Did all of those women also hate other women? Susan B. Anthony herself said if we left it up to women to pass women's voting rights, it never would have happened. That all their support came from progressive socialist men. So I'm asking you, my great-grandmother, who did not think politics was the role of women, was she hateful toward women, or did she instinctively know that this was going to create the gender divide that you don't like? The gender divide you're trying to fight was caused by trying to politicize women and put them in men's roles and have them be involved in politics and government. Did those women hate women?
I don't care if a majority of women were against women's rights.
Well, you're accusing me.
Let me finish because I don't care if 99.9% of women were against women having equal values to men. It still doesn't take away from the fact that it is correct that women have equal values to men. Because
you prefer it?
No, because this country was founded on protecting the minority, right?
No, it wasn't.
Let me finish, Rachel. This country was founded to protect the individual, right? We're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic because we all have inherent value. So it does not matter that 99.9% of the population wants something if it tramples on the individual's rights, Rachel. This is basic stuff.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
And so again, it doesn't matter if somebody that supported women's suffrage, so women voting, was a literal witch, a Satanist, a Marxist, or whatever. I don't care. It doesn't take anything away from the fact that it is still right that men and women have.
They mentioned witches. They're on to me, y'all. They're on to me. I better run. I gotta run away from this town. That's a bad argument indeed. Yeah, this So far, it's really not going great for Rachel.
Have equal value when it comes to representation.
Although
right?
I'm sure pretty much everybody in the whatever chat or live chat is going to be like, oh, she's cooking her. The chick is getting dog walked. Rachel, W Rachel. Like, I guarantee it. I guarantee that's what the chat is like. I don't even have to look.
Right? It does not matter that men are physically stronger than women, and that's why they should then be the ones to vote, because ballots are not the same thing as barbells, Rachel. And again, this is why I am glad to be here.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm glad.
Tiffany, what are you doing?
I'm glad.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm glad to be here because I equally think that there's really toxic voices in the conservative red pill movement that are putting so many people off from what our side really is about. And some people think that in the red pill movement, all these women just want to take away women's rights. And like Andrew Breitbart said, that politics is downstream from culture. There's a lot of people in this manosphere, which I'd include you in that,
I debate, me and Andrew both debate against manosphere, guys.
Yes,
so.
But you have a lot.
Sure, manosphere people disagree with each other. That still makes them manosphere. Like right now, I think, what is it, like Sneeko and Nick Fuentes are fighting. That doesn't mean they're not both manosphere. Like, that doesn't mean anything. The fact that you disagree with others in the manosphere doesn't make you not manosphere. They're both making bad logical weaves. That is true. But I don't know. I think she got Rachel with that whole like the race versus gender voting block thing.
Lot of similar opinions, which is that women don't have equal value to men and that they should not vote. And I think that's toxic, and it's part of the culture, and it is flowing downstream, and it is affecting politics. And as a result, Rachel, young women in this country are the most left-wing they've ever been in history before. I wonder what that is, and I wonder if telling those.
And I do also tend to agree. Like if you're bad at making arguments for your position, maybe it's a shitty position. She didn't say it's a shitty position, but she's like, well, you're just bad at making arguments. She didn't take it as far as I did, but. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that either. I don't know. She does kind of blab a lot, but that's what this is about. This is meant for them to be blabbing. Like, that's what that's for. That's what they're there for. So I don't know. I can't really complain about that. There's a big distinction in prescriptions, but not in ontology between Christian trads and the manosphere people, though. Nick Fuentes is manosphere. I haven't heard that one before. That's a new one for me.
Young girls that they are not smart enough to vote, that they are not emotionally mature enough to vote, is going to bring them to our side. I think that is a personal thing as well. Like, as an individual, you seem to have a higher emotionality rate than myself, and the same goes for men. That can vary.
You just talk and talk and talk. You're just gish galloping. This is a gish gallop. But it has to be a back and forth exchange. I don't want to hear about all you just gave me was emotions. You just gave me a whole. I feel like this, and I think that.
No, I didn't feel, and I think I gave you specific examples. But now I'll turn it back over to you again, Rachel. Why shouldn't women vote?
Might I quickly ask a moderation question here? You had posited that women turning to becoming more left-leaning is because of sentiments that Rachel holds.
Yeah.
Rachel, do you believe that this trend in women becoming more left-wing is because of some of this rhetoric, or?
Well, I'll answer that in a second, but first I want to point out that she's a contradiction machine. I had to wait. Yes, first you were like, ooh, I got her. She doesn't believe in democracy. Ooh, that's a good clip. I'm going to tell everybody she doesn't believe in democracy. And then you said, we're not a democracy. We're a representative republic. So which is it? Do you believe in democracy or no?
I believe in democracy because a constitutional republic is a mix of a constitution that holds specific inalienable rights for people, and then a democracy where people vote on things that are not up for debate. Do you understand those two concepts?
Of course I do.
Okay,
You're the one that doesn't understand those two concepts because you don't understand the difference between the founding form of government and the one we have now. You want universal suffrage. That's a progressive position. You just contradicted yourself on multiple counts. You said, if I don't agree with women voting, that means I hate women. And I said, the vast majority of women never wanted votes. They didn't want votes for women. They even banned women from voting on whether they wanted to vote. It's my turn now. I know you're waiting to speak, but let me finish. Women didn't want to vote. They weren't hateful. I don't hate women. I'm not emotional. I'm overly emotional here or something. I'm saying that women are of equal value. That doesn't mean that they have the same roles as men. This idea, what you're doing is muddying the waters and saying, unless we're the same across the board, that's inequality. Again, a leftist position. Time after time after time. You say you're for liberty. You say you're for rights. You say you're conservative. But every idea you articulate is a left-wing progressive idea. And you keep contradicting yourself. Your worldview is... No, I haven't contradicted myself at all.
Okay.
Me not wanting women to be involved in politics does not in any way mean that I hate them. In fact, it's...
To go off about the other chick being all like prattle and then keep going on and on and on and nonstop prattle is that's something. The vast majority of the people want to vote. I don't know if I can read stuff like that. YouTube might get mad at me. I think I've already said a bunch of naughty things that YouTube is going to hate. They've been so touchy lately. Especially in some of my videos about, like, the consent related topics, they don't even like show that to people. And I think I had some like voting related stuff in the Force Doctrine one as well. And anyway, I'm trying to be extra careful, which really sucks. I think like bigger channels, they can sort of say whatever and it doesn't matter, but I don't know. It sucks. I do wish that there was a platform where I could not have to censor myself.
It's out of love for them that I don't want them involved in this sort of stuff.
others.
For the same reason, I don't want them
right now with this debate that we're having in front of a ton of people.
No, pro-suffrage and anti-suffrage women debated. Women have always, women can talk to each other, and women have always debated each other.
Why not do that at home? Why in front of an audience of people? Isn't that getting directly involved in politics?
No, it's not.
To influence politics, because we're arguing here for different political prescriptions, right? For what we think is best for society. And somebody that might be watching might think, Rachel's a hypocrite because she's, over here debating instead of being at home with the kids, like a good conservative woman should do. I'm against that, by the way. I don't think that should be the case. But what would you say to those people?
I've addressed this criticism so many times, and if you had prepared at all for this debate, if you had watched any of my stuff, you'd know what my answer to this is already.
Go for it.
It was never the case that women couldn't speak in public. It was never the case that women couldn't have opinions, couldn't write books, couldn't have, discourse in public.
Sure
What?
You're sure? Okay,
I'm sure about that. Yes, that is a commonly held myth that women,
we'll go back to that
people think that women were not allowed. If women were not allowed, how come we had suffragists and feminists publicly speaking, writing books, doing speaking tours, doing debates from the 1700s on, and even before that, my book has a whole chapter where I give multiple examples of women being able to have a voice. Just because they couldn't vote or hold political office, just because there were limitations, that's not oppression. Again, that's a leftist position. For you to say women have to be able to do everything men can do, there should be no gendered roles. We should all have all options open. That's a progressive position.
Roles, that's
so you're saying women should be able to do anything men can do.
I never said that.
Yeah, if men can vote, women should be able to vote. If men can,
and financial rights, yes, but not do everything men can do.
Why? Why should it be the case that women should be able to vote?
Why? Because we have equal inherent values as human beings.
Says who?
Says me. Says
you.
God. Right? That
No.
we are also
Where does God
equal as well. But let's go.
Is she gonna let her finish even a phrase? This is so annoying. For somebody that complained with such attitude about not being interrupted, this is something. I myself don't even want to vote, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think the only 2 times... No, was it 1 or 2 times? I don't remember if I voted once or twice, but they were both for libertarian. Or I think I might have wanted to vote one of the times, but I think I voted for Gary Johnson and George Jorgensen, just because LP, like, that's all we got. And then I already did my whole spiel on what's his face. That was for 2024. I'm not gonna spiel on that again. That was embarrassing.
Equal value
for the whole party.
No, we're not going to go back. Equal rights. Explain equal rights to me. Why do all people have the exact same rights?
I vote Ron Paul if I was American. I would vote for Ron Paul if he was running. Unfortunately, he is getting up there in age, though, so... Although that didn't really stop Trump or Biden. But I do think we need to get away from voting for people that are literally, like, that old.
Are representative of values. I'll go back to the argument of, how certain people shouldn't...
Oh, Rand or Ron, I don't know. Sheep hair might confuse me. Yeah, so Ron Paul is the older one. He's like the OG libertarian that a lot of people in my generation sort of credit for like waking them up. And then Rand is his son, who's currently in Congress. I think he's a senator. Really? Did that happen? I didn't know that. Rand is the doctor. Yeah, he is the doctor. I think he's like an eye doctor, if I remember correctly. I don't remember for sure. But yeah, Rand is the younger one. I didn't know that happened.
Have equal voice because of their tax contributions in the U.S.
So you don't believe all people should vote. So you don't believe all people should vote.
Let me finish. To get to the point, the more recent point we were making, you said that women could freely express themselves and do all of that. Are you denying that women were, I guess, silenced in any way, shape, or form in recent history? Let's say in the 19th century, the 20th century, that women, if they tried to be vocal about their beliefs, that they were not repressed in any kind of way. Yes or no?
If you're talking about like stigma, like people didn't like it or it was looked down upon, so what? I'm saying it was not illegal.
No, I'm not talking
it was
about
never
stigma.
illegal.
Let Rachel finish.
Okay, so to that, to that point then, it is clear and documented reality, for example, that if women, even in the 20th century, right, up until the 1960s, we were still doing lobotomies on people here in the US and lobotomies on women. So
on just women?
No, not just
this
women.
This is another myth. I'm glad you brought this up.
Finish talking.
Go
Not just
ahead.
women, but a majority of women, absolutely, yes. This was happening in the US still in the 1960s. So loud, opinionated women could be easily diagnosed with something like hysteria or anxiety or anything, be carted off to an institution, and then be recommended different medications like opium tinctures, right? Happy pills for moms that were acting too crazy and that were overwhelmed. Forms of heroin, alcohol, nerve tonics, right? A very popular one before Valium, which happened in the 1960s, was barbiturates, right? From the 1900s to the 1950s. So in recent history, you could say that women's voices have been stifled and repressed, and I'm obviously against that. So you can't say that, no, women just had a right to say whatever they want, do whatever they want in recent history, and there was just equality for them. This is documented facts and documented history.
Okay, first of all,
go ahead.
I don't think anybody should be able to just do whatever they want. That's you, the libertarian. That's you, the libertarian leftist, who thinks people should just be able to do whatever they want.
To clarify, 2 seconds. I do believe that people should do what you want as long as you don't hurt others and you don't take their stuff. So yeah.
So do what thou wilt.
Do what you want.
Do what thou
don't
wilt.
hurt others,
The whole
don't
of the
take
law.
their stuff.
Yeah.
However, myself, I personally want to live my life in a more traditional conservative role.
Driena,
What everybody else does is not.
That is the epitome of the left libertarian. That is a left.
Left libertarians are not against abortion. Like, left libertarians are very pro-abortion rights. So I don't see how she could possibly be one between that and identifying as conservative.
No, not in my opinion. That is the definition of left libertarian politics that you just articulate. Do whatever you want as long as you don't hurt anybody else, bro.
And don't take.
And taxation is theft, man. And like, I wouldn't choose it, but you should be able to do what you want. You know what I'm saying? Without daddy government like breathing down your neck and stuff, bro. She's like,
that's
absolutely.
our founding.
Oh, monies. Oh, I like monies. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't get donos very often. That is so cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh no, I did the heart hands. Is heart hands allowed? I don't know if that's as cringe as doing bird hands. Also, did you know that there's different types of heart hands? There's millennials tend to do it like this, and then Gen Z does this sort of thing. I don't know. I aged myself. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is so nice. Hello, welcome. Left libertarians are pro-abor. Ron Paul is an OBGYN. No, that's Rand. Oh no, I think they're both doctors, but Ron Paul is Ron Paul OBGYN? So is Rand Paul the eye doctor then, or are they? Yeah, because I think they're different types of doctor or something. I know the younger one for sure is a doctor. Again, thank you so much for the 20. I appreciate that. Pro-life, yeah. So I think both Rand. I'm not sure about Ron Paul actually. I know Rand Paul is also pro-life or anti-abortion, whatever. Even though he tends to be more like libertarian leaning, he does agree with Republicans on that particular one. Yay! All right. Carry on.
You are not a Republican. No, they didn't. You're not a Republican. You're not a conservative, and you're most definitely a feminist. Now it's my turn to finish. All your nonsense about women getting lobotomies. Men were given lobotomies all the time too. I did a whole project on this.
But mostly women.
She never said that men didn't get the lobotomies or whatever. She didn't say that this was like an exclusively women thing. She said that it was used a lot to silence women, which saying like, oh well, men too. That's so okay. So when anybody makes an argument against forced doctrine by saying, oh well, men oppress other men too, or that would apply to men also, or like, but women also have positions in the military, or they are also police women or cops or whatever. That's not allowed. But saying here, being like, oh well, men were affected too, that's somehow okay as an argument when other people say like and here like it doesn't even make sense because she never claimed that they weren't, that it wasn't like a woman thing to have that done to you. It was just that was a way that they silenced certain women. So she didn't even like make a category claim there about that being like women were this thing was done to women and nobody else in particular. It was like the other way around. Anyway, the logic on this one seems weird on Rachel's part. Rand is the eye doctor. Okay, so I thought so. Okay, I did not real. Oh, you know what? I did not really remember that Ron Paul was OBGYN. Now that you mention it, I do recall something like that. But yeah, that makes sense because they're both doctors, and then they both had the thing where they're both libertarian leaning. But Ron Paul is way more libertarian than Rand, I think. I don't know if that's because Rand has to keep getting elected as a Republican, or if he really is sort of different that way from his dad. But FemCon got destroyed tonight. Which one is that? I don't know if you mean Rachel or the other one by that.
No, on MK Ultra, no, be quiet, it's my turn, You're getting a little emotional.
People can
getting a little emotional, not able to control your yapping.
No,
yap,
but people can Google stuff for themselves.
Yes, they can. And
maybe that changes later in the debate, but so far she has been sort of destroying Rachel, I think. But that could change. I mean, there's a long way to go still. Quite a bit.
And if they get my book, they're going to read all about that. Clearly, you didn't read the book. You could have saved yourself so much time with all these bad arguments if you had taken the time to have them debunked before this. But no, men were also locked up in mental institutions, forced to give them lobotomies. That was not a gender-specific thing whatsoever. There's always, no, let me clarify. Let me help you here. I'm going to educate you a little bit. Women have always, everywhere, in every culture, and this is verified right now by 2 huge studies that looked at all different cultures around the world in 2009, and then they did a follow-up several years later. It's called The Paradox of Women's Happiness. Women everywhere are more prone to mental illness, anxiety, depression, and all types of mental problems. That is not...
Or they are more likely to report it.
Men oppressing us. That happens to be a fact of how women are. And yes.
Or they're unhappy because men are oppressing them. Not that I hold that position, but I'm just saying saying that it's not because they're being oppressed, but still claiming that they have all these issues that do happen to people when they are oppressed. That's not a good argument, Rachel. I don't really think women are oppressed. That's not my personal belief. But she's not making a good argument against it. By honestly, she seems to be arguing for like women being oppressed and saying the opposite somehow. I'm oppressing you. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so oppressed right now.
Most of it's biology and hormones, but a lot of it is just the fact that female constitutions are much more susceptible to negative effect. This is a well-established fact in clinical psychology as well. They wouldn't even deny it. Yes, more men commit suicide, but women attempt it more. Men are just better at actually following through. You know, it's that whole men being better at stuff thing again, I guess. But so that's a lie what you just told. And let's go back to this idea that, like, do you think that all men everywhere could vote before the 19th? Do you think that it was all the men could vote and they're like, don't let the girls vote, you guys. We have to keep our foot on the
there were property rights. There were property distinctions. So some men that didn't own property could not vote. There were a lot of requirements. There were literacy tests as well.
Yes.
So yes,
there were poll taxes. There were religious restrictions. There were all kinds of restrictions on men's voting.
All of them that were deemed what? Unconstitutional, Rachel, right?
After what? After the progressive era, when progressives took control of the government, they passed the 19th Amendment. That was a progressive agenda, ma'am. You're not a conservative. I hate to break this to you. You are a liberal progressive.
The U.S. Constitution.
A liberal progressive. Okay, this is getting more and more. So she started out as calling her libertarian, which makes sense more or less, except the abortion thing. But again, some libertarians are also anti-abortion. Anyway, that does make sense more or less, although a lot of her positions do also fit with conservatism, and now she's not even that. She's like, it's getting further and further.
Constitution being clarified is not a progressive thing, right? Making sure throughout the years that it is clarified that all people have the same equal rights, inherent value, and voting rights is not a progressive issue. That's what you're choosing to call it.
It radically, that's not true. It radically transforms the identity of this country.
I'm choosing to call it steps in the right direction towards individual liberties, which conservatives believe in. Conservatives believe in the rights of the individual. If you are against that, then you are not conservative.
I don't use the label conservative. You're the one who uses the label conservative, not me.
Okay, if you don't even use the label conservative, why are you gatekeeping so hard? Let her do what she wants with it. If you're not even conservative, what do you care?
And I'm telling you, you're not conservative. And I also have libertarian values too. You know, you can't really put people in 2 boxes like that nowadays, because not everybody's opinions on every single little topic, there's like 200 different things we can discuss, is going to fall cleanly into conservative or libertarian.
So what you want to conserve is Obama-era policies. You want to, what are you conserving? I'm asking you one thing you're conserving.
Name one.
What are you conserving?
No, you just said Obama-era
Gay
policy.
marriage.
Obama, oh my God. That, again.
You want to conserve Obama-era politics. You can't give me any conservative position you hold that you want to. What are you conserving? This is why I don't call myself Republican. Why I don't.
She already named a few earlier, and Rachel just like arbitrarily said that they're not conservative, even though gun rights anti-abortion and like free markets, which conservative claims to be free markets, but that's sort of debatable. But those claims, at least, are pretty conservative. I don't know what she means that that's not conservative positions. She named a handful of conservative positions, and she did put like family values in there, which I think is like most people agree on as like a general families are good thing. So I don't know exactly what she meant by that.
Another generation. That's what I'm concerned with.
Freedom to marry your boyfriend and smoke weed and not pay taxes? Okay.
Individual liberties for another generation. Your freedom of speech, Rachel. I am very much trying to conserve that, because if it wasn't for conservatives, then all of your opinions, if we're not under this administration that we currently are right now, if we were under a government like the UK's, you'd probably be put in jail as soon as this podcast was over for saying something like, I'd be happy that black women wouldn't vote, and a bunch of other
I didn't say that. Wait. We have to back that up, because I did.
She did, though, kind of. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean she didn't say that? Maybe it wasn't exactly those words, but that was the message. I understand that she also said that about other women, but when race specifically was brought up, that was said. Like that was said. It was said.
I don't exactly remember the words, but you said it's beneficial for black women to not, for black women
She's also doing bird hands.
To not vote because they would no.
Hold on, just for the purposes of clarity.
What was exactly her?
You said
what are you asserting?
Do you want to like play back her clip
It's
on
difficult
it?
for us to.
I can tell you exactly what happened. So, she said, "Oh, if you're going to deny votes based on sex, then you're also going to have to not let black people vote." And I said, "That's absurd." You said you would have to, and I said I absolutely would not say that you would ever have to say black people can't vote. I'm not for that. I'm against that. I do not believe that race should be the defining factor in who gets to vote whatsoever.
But
gender should be part of it, and I'll tell you why. Women do not have to sign up for the draft. Women do not have to defend this country with their bodies. In fact, the anti-suffragists articulated this and said, "We don't want to be involved with politics." Just let me finish. Let me finish.
Rachel is doing like the long nail bird hands where she's doing like flapping bird hands where they got their wings out. I don't know. I can't even do it. She's like.
The women who didn't want to be political equals with men said, why would you task us with something we can't do? We can't defend the borders. We can't defend the nation. We can't rule the nation. Men have the monopoly on force. That's for men to do. We want men to protect us and our children. Our role is to raise the children. That's too important. We can't be involved in politics
so it's
for that
important
reason.
For women to raise children, right? It's an important role, right? A role important and equal enough for them to vote on the future of this country and the rules that they live by, right? Or do you think it's not important enough of a role for them to vote?
The problem with that is it comes down to force. So you can have an opinion, and women did. So you don't need voting rights in order to have your voice be heard. A good example of this is prohibition. The Women's Temperance Union got prohibition passed. Bad idea, by the way, but somebody listened to the women, so we got prohibition passed because this was a pet project of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. They did not need to vote to get their voices heard. They did not need to vote to have their agenda passed. So you don't need voting rights to be heard.
So why does it matter then that they do have it?
Because what happens, this is what the anti-suffragists also predicted. They were very smart women. These women were not hateful and they were not stupid, and they've been done dirty by history, which is why I'm here trying to help revive this. Anti-suffrage women said, if we become a political bloc, we lose the moral high ground. What will happen is politicians will pander to us. They will make us just another voting bloc. They will promise a whole bunch of things that sound really good and do what they want anyway. And by that, yes, they do, which is why I'm against.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard this argument a few times. I don't really see how it makes sense. Like, I understand where they're coming from, but also, like, people pandered to voting blocks too, and people also had to an extent, pander to the women. If that's like, she's arguing at the same time for people had to pander to the women because they weren't a voting bloc, but also if they were a voting bloc, they would have to get pandered to. So they would get pandered to either way, but maybe they would get a little bit more of what they wanted if they voted. Like, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
It's why I don't like the system.
For men and for women.
Yeah, that's why I don't like democracy. It's why I don't like the system. But that aside, these women said, if we become just another political voting bloc, we lose the moral high ground we have. Before women could vote, they could stand up and say, we think you need to do something about clean water. We think you need to do something about safety in public parks. We want better schools. We want more prohibitions on alcohol. Whatever it was, their agenda was heard and got passed without them having to vote.
Unless it.
Okay, so now their agenda doesn't get heard or passed. It seems like that hasn't really changed either way.
Was something completely too radical, right? And in that case, then they'd be sent to an institution for crazy people and lobotomized.
They did that to men too. They did that to radical men too. It was not.
Okay. I've already I've already said what I had to say about this like men to argument.
Not a gender thing.
Basically, individuals, right? People that have a way of thinking that was more
For somebody that subscribes to force doctrine, saying something isn't a gendered thing is special.
individualist. Those are the ones that usually get shut down and have their rights trampled upon in history, which is, again, why it is so necessary for the individual to have equal voting rights and an equal voice within the political system that they have to live under. If we were anywhere else, outside of this podcast and debate right now, we'd have to stop talking right now because, there's no point in trying to convince somebody that, an individual has human rights, equal rights, and we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that and make it clear to the public on where we stand on your stance being anti-women's rights, anti-voting rights, anti-equality. And my whole point here is to just make it clear that that is the case and that that is not representative of the conservative movement of a whole, and that it is counteractive, counterintuitive, and a negative thing for us because it's just turning more young women to the left seeing these kinds of positions.
You don't think the fact that we have to pander to the emotions of young women, what you just told me is, Rachel, don't say that out loud, because we have to pander to the feelings of young women because they have a lot of voting power, they have a lot of political power, and so we have to tell them what they want to hear, and we have to give them what they want.
The truth.
We have to tell them what they want to hear, we have to give them what they want, because if we don't, they won't vote for us anymore, Rachel. Don't you think that's a problem? And I'm saying that you're thinking about it wrong, and most people do.
Yeah, I mean, they already are voting. Like, that's already happened. So you either deal with the position and the cards you're holding, or you pretend you live in La La Land and that you can somehow, like, remove their right to vote without them voting the rights away themselves. Okay, sure.
The whole framing of how you're framing the argument is the problem. The system is the problem. We shouldn't have to appeal to the emotions of certain voting blocks, which is what Black Lives Matter is, which is what the feminist agenda is, which is what identity politics is. When you give everybody...
That's kind of politics in general, though. Politics in general is appealing to the emotions of specific voting blocks. There's... Even if you look at how... Even Trump, anytime he goes to some town that has a high, like, farmer population, he panders to the feelings of farmers. Every time he goes to some town where they had, like, a car manufacturer that went and moved to Mexico or whatever, and now that town is broken, people are jobless, he panders to those people's feelings and tries to, like, say it's going to be all better, even though it's not. That's politics. She's describing politics and saying politics isn't great. Many people are not a fan of politics. Many people think it's kind of a dirty, annoying thing to have to do to pander all these people's feelings, but that's what it is. That's how it works. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So saying that's somehow unique to her position, that's not true. That's everybody in politics.
Everybody, one person, one vote. You end up with all...
Do citizens of La La Land have voting rights? Well, if it's Rachel's La La Land, then no, they don't. They should move to Reality Land.
All these special interest groups, you end up with all these little voting blocks, and politicians have to pander to them. And so you get these radicalized movements fighting for this group's rights and that group's rights. And I'm saying, I do think we've ended up in a place where, with your universal democracy, where everybody gets a vote, we're going to end up in nonstop, like, basic gang wars, political gang wars.
All I'm hearing is that you're really bad at making an argument for what you believe in and would rather just shut down the entire political discourse and keep people from having an opinion. My argument is that I think that what I believe in is good and that I can present my opinions to people that disagree with them and flip them over to my side because my opinions are based on realities and facts. And again, if you're trying to argue that it's bad for women to vote because a majority of women vote Democrat, right, in the past, and we're trying to get women, or we're trying to live under conservative policies, then again, you'd have to say that you'd be okay with people that disagree with you not having political rights, voting rights, namely Black Americans, that 80 to 90% vote Democrat in political presidential elections. And I'm saying that I would be against that. I feel like even though it is most definitely an uphill battle, my task is to make sure that I talk to those groups and show them why our side is better, right? Not just to completely shut them down. It's work, Rachel. It absolutely is work. It is framing. It is being a convincing person. It is having to provide, that's what I brought here, proof and different studies and things from
your color organized folders are very impressive. I'm sure you got straight A's in school. Can we get back to the debate? Because you just talk and talk.
Rachel.
So are you going to tell the young women that you want to vote Republican in the next election? Are you going to go to the college campuses and tell those young women, look, I don't like pornography. It's really destructive. We have to make OnlyFans illegal. We can't have it anymore.
I think that we need to discourage people from using it.
Oh, but you don't want to actually outlaw it.
It'd be good if it did not exist. But again, I think that we're attacking the problem from the wrong end.
I see. Yes. So you want us to tell the men that watching it is bad, but the young ladies producing it, we can't tell the young ladies producing it that they can't make pornography anymore because then they'll get upset and they won't vote for Republicans in the next elections. We have to say, ladies, look, I'm going to appeal to your...
Even if women stop producing it, with the technology available today, it would still get produced. You know what I'm saying? So this whole like, oh, if all you have to do is make the OF place illegal. I mean, if they're saying it, if that was it, like if only, right? If all you had to do was make something illegal and then that thing would stop happening, wouldn't that be wonderful? How we could solve all of society's problems if all we had to do was say anything negative for anyone ever is illegal, and now the world is a perfect happy place where nobody's upset about anything ever, and nobody's uncomfortable, and nobody gets, killed or, whatever. If only. So with AI and even with even previous stuff like animation and things like that, there, again, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm not against corn as a concept. I think it's fine in moderation. It's not like that big of a deal to me. It's probably depends on the person and each specific relationship, how they feel about it. But I do recognize that it is, or rather, it can be a very serious problem where it's debilitating for people and it affects relationships. And if you are that kind of person where it's become a problem for you, whether it's somebody on an OF that's a real person, or it's something that's very like hyper realistic AI generated that you did on your own computer by downloading a model, even if it's legal offline, or even if the sites for sharing a shut down. Like, this isn't, the cat is out of the box. Like, it's out there. Even if you somehow like ban all AI, which, like, good luck. Good luck with that. That cat is definitely out of the bag already. There are still, do I have to explain all of the different kinds of corn out there? Because it's not only like either real or hyper-realistic. There's other like animated things. Okay, I don't have to explain. I think people know that there are other options available for corn. And if all you had to do was make OF illegal somehow, that's not gonna stop the consumption of corn. So if that's your goal, that's not really gonna, it might help a little bit, but if people are already, if people want to do it or want to consume it, then they're gonna find some other way of consuming it. That it's not gonna help anything. So I do think that if your goal is really to get people to stop consuming corn, then you would have to go to convincing them and somehow like teaching them the negative consequences, etc., than simply banning OF. Like that's not gonna help. That's not helpful. Definitely not appropriate. Yeah, this particular stream is getting very 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 spicy. This is not the type of content we usually do.
Your better sensibilities, and we'll see how this goes on the Dating Talk podcast. If we have some OnlyFans girls, I can't wait to hear you convince them, and I hope that by the end they quit. I do. I hope that by the end you can convince them and they can quit. I think the odds of that happening are basically zero.
Okay. Just because she can't convince 4 or 5 people in a span of 8 hours to quit doing a thing doesn't mean it's impossible to convince anybody, or that it's impossible longer term, or maybe it's those particular people. Do you see how scientifically speaking that's not a good test for convincing people? It doesn't work in general.
Are you willing to outlaw pornography?
You're a Christian, right? You're a Christian
Yes,
yourself.
of course.
Wasn't the whole point of Jesus talking to people that sinned to bring them to their side by engaging with them and talking to them?
Do you think that Jesus wanted OnlyFans to be legal?
Of course not. But of course not. So I think he'd talk to the women that are engaged in that whole thing, because
Are you
unfortunately,
going to go to the college campuses and tell these young girls to stop doing OnlyFans or no?
Prostitution, it's called the oldest career for women in the books. And again, it does not make it a good thing. But I think the problem comes from the demand side of things. Women also have lots of temptations that could corrupt them, right? But it's up to us being accountable for ourselves, holding ourselves accountable for if we we decide to consume certain things.
Yeah, that's working out great. That's working out great. Are you aware of the numbers of how many women
engage in that versus how many men consume that? Yes, I actually am very aware of the numbers.
Oh, by the way, women consume plenty of pornography.
Yes,
this idea that it's only men is baloney.
I agree. I never said that. About 20% average women do consume pornography. It's about 70% of men that do consume
What happens if we count written pornography? What happens if we count stuff like 50 Shades of Grey? Then how many women engage in?
I don't know.
How are you going to ban that? If you think that banning OF is going to somehow stop the written stuff,
consuming pornography.
That's straight up delusional.
Let me help you. It's the best-selling book of all time among female readers.
Okay.
So women consume plenty of pornography. They just tend to like to read it so they can insert themselves into the nasty sex scene, then watch the actual videos.
Which is bad.
I don't know what she's saying, women in general. Like, I'm not disagreeing that it's possible that more women prefer some type of that more women prefer it written in some way, but I don't know. Is she speaking from personal experience here? Because I don't know what the hell she's talking about. I'm not saying I'm not like disagreeing because I don't know for a fact, but I don't know. It sounds like she's speaking from experience there a little bit.
Right. So
I don't know for sure, but it sounds like it just a little.
We be addressing again the
written corn, then go after the mined corn. Ban all corn. Ban all corn. Corn is unacceptable, and all the farmers that farm it too. All the farmers that farm corn must go to jail.
So are you going to tell people they should stop writing books? Is that your next move, Rachel?
I would absolutely have limits on pornography being produced in all forms. Yes.
On written speech.
I don't agree see, she's a leftist libertarian. She thinks that porn is free speech. This is your MAGA Republican woman.
I think
this is your feminist, your not feminist conservative advocate. She's going to get everybody to vote for conservatives. She's going to talk. It always reduces to the men. It always.
What is this? It always reduces language. It's the same thing that the male Wilson does. Saying something always reduces to whatever. That's not an argument.
No, you're exactly what I thought you were. You're worse than I thought you were. It's always, what about the men though? I go, are you going to tell the women to stop? Wait a minute. Are you going to tell the women to stop making porn for men to consume? And she goes, no, I would just encourage them. I would say you probably shouldn't see. And I'm going to tell the men that they can't have the porn.
Relax, Rachel.
Okay, it sounds like she does want to tell people to stop doing it. It's that she wouldn't jail them for doing it. That's a bit of a straw man there. Professor Hizzo loves corn. Corn is pretty good, but now saying that in the context of everything else I've said might be confusing for people. When do I mean corn and when do I mean corn? But no, actual corn is pretty good. I tried growing corn, obviously real corn, and it was supposed to be these like cute little baby corns on the stalks because I have a parrot and I thought the bird might enjoy eating them, and I'm kind of scared of all the pesticide they put on regular corn because birds are a lot more sensitive to that stuff because they have little tiny systems. They're so small, so it affects them more. And corn tends it's very hard to find organic, or how is it say organic corn. So I tried growing it myself. It didn't work out too well. I think I got like few little tiny like pieces. How did he say it in the beginning in that video from that little like comedy clip we saw of the Erica Kirk organic.
I'm entertaining. If we had to listen to you blah blah yap all night long, everybody would leave the chat. Nobody would want to be here. So.
Sure, that is not what I said. You asked if I'd make it illegal. Yeah. And no, but I would tell women to stop doing it. That is two completely different.
Oh, well, that's okay. She's going to tell the women to stop doing it, and they're going to go, okay.
Show them that there's a better way. Yes, absolutely.
Well,
that is what you
got to work harder. You got to work harder because it ain't working. Discourse. It ain't working. This libertarian idea that we can just talk people into doing what's logical is the whole problem.
Libertarian idea that we can talk people into doing what we want. That's not a libertarian idea. That has existed from the beginning of time.
Your idea is that
I'll just let you exactly from the beginning of time in Rome, where people would like gather in a town square and then talk about their ideas and then decide on whether they agreed with them or not. So you're arguing again against people discussing ideas and proving why they're better than others, which is bad enough.
I'm not arguing against it, but I'm doing it right now. But I'm saying I do think that we should make certain things illegal. Yes, I don't think it should just be do whatever you want, bro.
How did the war on drugs work out? How has it worked out?
Are you going to tell the young women on the college campuses that you're trying to get to vote Republican that they can't have abortions? Are you going to tell them that's killing babies and you can't do that anymore? Or are you just going to try to talk them out of it?
You just presented a question to me. Actually, how I would attack that question is showing why abortion is the killing of a human being based on biology, not on religious arguments or anything like that. The beginning of a human life starts at conception, right, and ends at death. conception, fetus, baby, toddler, all of that is part of the human developmental life cycle. And so if you believe in individual rights, then, and not killing innocent people, then you have to argue against abortion. That is my argument. It is a logical one. Okay. And it is one that made me, like when I was much younger, I had different opinions on abortion because of what I was taught in school. I was taught that it's okay if like the baby doesn't have nerve endings and then you could just suck it out and whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, then maybe in a few weeks, then it doesn't really matter. But that's actually not the case. It's from conception. That's the beginning of a human life cycle. But again, this is just education, right? Educating people, which you have to do. You can't just tell people no voting.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna educate all the problems away. We're just gonna change everyone's mind.
Yep, we're gonna educate the problems away.
What's wrong with educating the problems away? That seems... I mean, whether I agree or disagree with a particular position, the educating things away tends to be sort of the more agreeable way of changing the world versus trying to assault them into it, I suppose. Oh no, educating, that's so terrible. You're gonna educate things away. Oh no, it's horrifying. I tried to grow so in a pot last year. I got to nibble on some tiny cups. Oh really? No way. Oh, that is crazy. I thought I was the only one that tried to do crazy things like that. I don't know. I don't really know a lot of people that try to grow their own stuff. That's so cool.
Didn't you?
That's the plan.
Yeah, that's worked great. We have more educated people are more
I
educated.
really was picturing like some full kernels and stuff like that, but when you only have a few, I guess they don't pollinate enough, so you don't get like a full like pretty ones you see in the store unless they pollinate really well and you have enough together.
Now in human history than ever before. It's not an information problem and it's not an education problem. It's a moral problem, and that's where the rub is. Didn't you bring up was it the Stanford prison study?
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
in the last,
where you said they had to stop the experiment 6 weeks in or something like that.
Are you handing it over to me?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Let's talk about that because it actually is it's a really good one. Where basically they took in volunteers, students to play as prison guards, and another group of volunteers to be prisoners. And what happened after a certain short period of time is that these prison guards started to abuse these fake prisoners so badly that they had to stop the experiment. And my argument using that example was that when individuals have undue power over others, then it is just making it prone to abuse, right? So if men and women don't have equal voting rights and power, then women are equally subject.
Pause for just a second. I just wanted you to tell me about the study. I didn't need like a whole diatribe on
discrimination. That's the point of the study, is that it is in our nature, unfortunately, as humans, to take over and abuse those that have less power than us, which is why we need to have equal rights. Then let me ask you a question. Why didn't they just pull these people aside, the people that were being the prison guard? Why didn't they get Driena to come in? Driena was not allowed to come.
Okay, well, let's say Driena, they called Driena and they go, you need to come in here, and what we need you to do is talk to them and convince them why it's bad to abuse these people. We need to educate them, Driena, until they behave.
Yeah, I would have gone in there and told them, hey, you guys, are y'all crazy? Are you guys...
What kind of question? Why didn't they do a different study? I don't know. Maybe you should suggest them they do that study also. That's a different study. That's well, why didn't they do it completely differently? Well, because they weren't studying that particular aspect of things. Like what kind of dumbass question is that? This is so dumb. I don't even know how many more times I can say dumb. This is dumb. I gotta figure out. You know what? I gotta figure out how to move my screen so it's in the proper place because I keep having to go right to go up. Because when I do it otherwise, it gets stuck on a little mini bar. I don't know. I'll figure it out after the show. Libertarians corn. Am I right? Discussion over debate in my honest opinion. I tend to agree. I think discussions tend to be more productive. And in a debate, people tend to be more about winning. And when people are more worried about winning, they're not as worried about really getting to the bottom of things and being honest and things like that. The corn. Yep. Finally, some agreement in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Can you go to the prisons for us? Can we get Driena to go to prisons and just talk to the criminals until the criminals understand, hey, you listen, buddy.
Okay, Rachel, relax. Listen, buddy. By the way, they do that in real prisons, right?
Why don't you talk to the criminals so they understand that the criminals weren't the problem in the study? What?
That working?
You've got pastors that go to real prisons.
And what is the success rate on educating criminals out of doing crime?
And they bring them books.
Yeah, what's the success rate?
And they bring them Bibles.
I know what they do. How well does it work?
I don't have statistical numbers in front of me. You want to pull that up, Brian?
Almost never. The recidivism rate for most crimes.
Don't bring up statistics.
Well, it's also because the prisons that we have don't necessarily, how should I put this? They're not really meant for re-education and reintegration. That tends to be not the goal. The goal tends to be punishment and making money for whoever's, paying off whoever to keep more people into the prison and kickbacks and corruption. That tends to be the goal, is making money off the people and corruption. The goal doesn't tend to be, getting them back into society. There are some countries out there that do have that as a goal. I think some European ones, and the success rates of those particular prisoners tend to be pretty high, if I recall correctly. But I would have to look it up. I don't recall off the top of my head exactly the specifics, but I do recall looking into this. And apparently, if you really do take it seriously and you really are honestly trying your best to educate and not simply punish, it does tend to go pretty well.
Don't bring up statistics because they'll be wrong.
Unless you don't have it with you, basically. So let's chat GPT.
Like recidivism rate for violent crimes.
That has nothing to do with somebody going in and talking to people to try to.
But why would they keep offending if we can just talk them out of it? We just say, listen.
But the thing is, we don't. Somebody said earlier that Rachel was like owning the other chick or whatever. How is this? I mean, I understand that the debate is very long and we still have like 5 hours to go, which we're certainly not getting done tonight. But this is what, maybe like, I don't know, a fifth of the way through, and so far she's been getting owned herself. Yeah, my phone wants me to go to bed.
Mr. Murderer,
not everybody's
you
going
just need to be educated. This is another classic left wing. This is Black Lives Matter's whole thing. Yes, this is. If you go to Black Lives Matter's website, they want rehabilitation. They want to educate people out of doing crime. It's a left wing position. Oh no, we're just going to convince them. We're just going to convince people to do what's right for them. We're going to convince people to take the smarter option.
Take a breath.
Yeah, you're doing the thing that everybody does, where they pretend that the other person is crashing out when they're not. It's not going to.
But she really is crashing out, and she does the same thing.
You're getting your butt whooped.
Let's see if any programs in prison from pastors or that reintegrate people into society, get them educational degrees, because that's something that
it has to be a lot more concise than that. It would have to be like,
I know.
I do have. Yeah.
Let's see if we can make it as concise as possible. What are the success rates of rehabilitation programs in prison?
They're well known to be extremely abysmal. That's why it doesn't work.
I agree. My thing is,
you can't educate people into making moral choices, Driena.
For what specific crime? Is it just violent crime, drugs?
Pick one for now, I guess.
Well,
okay, how about this? Child sex offenders. Can we educate them into making better choices? Can Driena go and just sit them down and they have a dialogue, and she says, look, Mr. Child Sex Offender, I don't think that you're violating someone else's personal rights, and on that basis, I think you should stop it.
Rachel, do you still want, wait one sec really quick, do you still want the recidivism rate for violent crime stat?
Yes,
it says over 60% of violent offenders are rearrested for a new crime within 8 years of release. And then for your...
But that doesn't take into account whether they were attempted to be educated out of it or if they were just tossed into prison like we tend to do with people. So I guarantee it was the latter. I keep having to do the funny mouse thing. I really got to fix that for next stream because this is not working out well for me. Comment on our Foursquare video said I was contradicting myself big time. Do you remember any contradictions in my view? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't come from the same perspective, so it's... I think if within your own view, I haven't noticed any, but I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's possible. Everybody at some point might happen to contradict themselves on accident, but not that I have noticed. So I don't think so. But I'm also not as educated on, you know this, I'm not as educated on how Christian things really work. So if I don't have the full context of Christianity in mind and all of the rules of it, I may not know. I might miss something is what I'm saying. So I'm not sure. Not from what I've seen though. I didn't notice any either, but I'm up to correction. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people will say that, and if they don't really specify what it was that was contradicting, in the same way that people will like claim I'm strawmanning, but then don't specify exactly what's a strawman and how, when it's like we're quoting people literally making the argument, then it's people trying to basically like make any excuse to point out how you're wrong, but don't really know why. They're like, well, that's wrong, but I don't know why, so we'll just say you contradicted yourself somewhere in general and strawmanned and did a bunch of other things, but not specify. So it's just like bad in general. So, something you did was bad, and that means your position is wrong because I don't like it. That tends to be how I read that, but it's not impossible. I applied all years and haven't gotten a play. Yeah, that is pretty telling. I do wonder if if they're gonna specify it. But in my experience, usually people, when they claim stuff like that without specifying in the same message or like at the same time as they're making the claim, it usually doesn't really mean a whole lot.
For addiction rehabilitation programs, it's not clear if that's just voluntary or through the prison system, but the success rate ranges between 30% and 70%. Relapse rates of 40 to 60% within the first year. So I don't know if that's helpful.
So my argument is not that we not incarcerate people for these crimes. It's the fact that people can change and rehabilitate. It doesn't mean we even release them into society. It means that you can change people's minds, absolutely, while they're serving a prison sentence. It doesn't mean that they have a right to be reintegrated into society. So that's my thing. Is that yes, even in prison, you can go in. Even in prison, you can go in and you can preach the Bible to prisoners, or you can show them a better way, and you can absolutely rehabilitate them. I'm not arguing for lax criminal punishment laws. I disagree with that. But you're telling me, oh, you can just go.
You don't want lax criminal laws. Correct. But why? Then why would you defend keeping OnlyFans legal? Why should we allow young women to create their own pornography, produce it, and put it out into the public? Why?
I disagree that it's bad. But the why is because then it sets a dangerous precedent for censorship in the future on things that other people don't like. Because let's say then we fall under the government. Let me finish. Let's say we fall under the government of we have a Democrat president, and they believe that people saying right-wing things on live shows like this is bad. So we are going to ban that. And they did, by the way, under the Biden administration. So that's what I'm saying. Banning things that we don't like and making it illegal is not the way to go. The way to go is showing people why you're right, with arguments, with facts, with logic. And we can't set the precedent that, we as conservatives and Republicans don't like pornography. It's bad. Therefore, we're going to make it illegal. Then when a Democrat president comes along, they'll say Republicans that...
I get your point. You don't have to keep repeating it.
I feel like I need to for you to understand.
It's not me.
So you got it, and everybody at home got it, that it's a bad precedent. Do you understand?
If you take the libertarian progressive view that you have, sure. But what I would say is, we believe in right and wrong, don't we? Okay, why don't we make things illegal if they are inherently morally evil? You said in your opening, pornography is evil. Why would we not criminalize why do we criminalize murder? Why? Because then somebody that has a different definition of evil than me can criminalize something that I believe in. Like, for example, saying that abortion is murder. Then we should. And by the way, this is actually happening in the UK. If I go out in the UK and I say abortion is murder and I read the Bible, I'm in the middle of the street, I'm going to get arrested. That's because leftists like you run the UK. People with your same political positions run the UK.
This whole you're a leftist thing is getting really old. I understand that's her shtick, but I really wish she would sort of stick to the arguments and not be like, oh, you're leftist, you're not a real conservative every 5 seconds. It's like, okay, we get it, Rachel, we get it.
And they go, you can't say that. You're going to hurt someone's feelings, and they'll be upset, and then they won't vote for the Labor Party anymore. We need the Muslim vote. Don't tell them they can't have grooming gangs. That's you.
I'm making the argument that you don't ban what you don't like, Rachel.
I'm not banning something because I don't like it. It's not that you think I want to ban pornography because I don't like it or because it's morally wrong.
Okay.
She didn't say that she didn't like it. Interesting.
That's what I believe too. I think it's morally wrong.
Then why wouldn't you make it illegal?
Because
she did go into detail earlier with the whole written kind. So I don't know.
Else might think that's something I believe in,
so you believe in moral relativism. So everybody gets to have their own version of right and wrong?
Like Second Amendment rights, the right to own, guns or whatever. That's morally wrong because it kills people. And then when they're in power, they will ban things that they believe are morally wrong. So that's why you can't set that precedent.
It's almost like this whole everybody voting thing is just a trap, and we're going to end up in a bad position no matter what we do, because it's inherently progressive, and it will give us a progressive society where we can't tell people the truth and we can't say what's right and wrong, because if we offend someone, they won't vote for us, and if we offend this group, they're going to start rioting. Are you starting to figure it out at all?
Again, just because you can't make good arguments that convince people.
I'm not the one who's having trouble making good arguments. That would be you.
No, you're saying that we should not allow certain blocks of the population to vote because they would, down the line, vote against what you want. And that is obviously not the way to do things. The way to do things is by actually talking to
you're not framing that correctly either, though. I'm not saying, don't let this group vote because then I won't get what I want. I asked
That's what I believe exactly what you're saying.
That was her answer to that, so I don't know what she's complaining about.
Let me finish. You just yap and yap and yap, so let me finish first.
Sorry, who's yapping? Okay, I don't think yapping is unique to either one of them, but for the person who was yapping the most in the to the within the near, I don't know, few minutes of the yapping accusation. So within a few minutes of that accusation, the person who was doing the most yapping was Rachel. And then she's like, we can't wait, you yapping. And again, that's what they're there to do. So yapping is what they're there for. That's what this thing is all about. That's the whatever debates thing. It's to be expected. Yapping is to be expected. For the freaking yapper supreme to be accusing people of yapping, that's special. Your leftist is framing to project weakness on the opponent. Interdefense divorce, and I don't. Who's the conservative? Who's a sexual revolution advocate? Yeah, Yeah, and I mean also like she doesn't claim to be conservative. I'm sure it's probably something similar with Andrew. I don't know for a fact, but they are very like gatekeepy of the conservative positions. But then like I'm not conservative, but you can't be conservative because this is conservative and conservative things are all good and you're doing the bad leftist thing. But I'm not conservative. No, that's okay, sure. Yapper Supreme. That is kind of a good nickname for her.
You said at the beginning, you work in politics. Your job is to go around the country convincing, especially Spanish-speaking people, to vote for Republicans. You want them to vote for certain things.
I educate, yes, personally, yes, but in my current role, yes, I educate people on what are political policies going on, who's promoting them, what they are, so that they can make educated decisions. Because with education,
I'm trying to do the same thing in a different way. And what I'm trying to tell you is that the fastest way to get to the dystopian nightmare that is the United Kingdom is to do what you're saying we should do. And you are also showing everybody that you're a moral relativist.
No, I think that the quickest way to get to where the UK is by banning free speech, which is what you just advocated for. And
How did they get there?
And banning things that you don't like.
How did they get there, though? Because the UK hadn't always had laws against free speech. Nope. They got that way because of mass immigration, equality, liberalism, all that stuff. Right. And that is what you'll end up with. That's what you'll end up with every time, because you can't just talk people into doing what's right. People vote based on incentive. No, people vote based on personal incentive.
I agree with that too.
Yes. So if there's a group that comes into the country and they're getting welfare benefits, if there's single moms out there that get welfare benefits,
Which is highly illegal,
they're always going to be voting for that stuff. Yeah, but the reason we got that stuff is because women voted for it. Those things would have never been passed.
I don't think that having an open border policy for 4 years, like what happened under the previous administration, is something that women voted for.
It is.
It's something that.
Have you looked at the polling data on men versus women on open borders?
Did women vote for the Mexican-American border to be completely open so that 20
They voted for all of the people who
can
instituted those policies. Yes.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
Well,
have you looked at border states? You just keep talking.
Just sort of a mildly related comment. Isn't Rachel's whole thing is that men allowed women to do this voting thing? So how can you keep blaming women for voting if that's something that apparently men allow us to do and could make it stop anytime they want? So all you have to do is, instead of complaining about women voting to women, all you gotta do is tell all the men to, make it end, make the women voting thing go away, and problem solved, right? Like, why not just do that? Just because if what she says is true, if men control it, they gave us the right to vote. They can take it back anytime. What's the complaint? All you got to do is be like, okay, men, let's go, chop chop.
Talking about presidential elections, look at border states.
Would either of you like me to look up any stats on this? Are men or women more in favor of illegal immigration?
Of open borders.
I think the better one would be the percentage of Americans that are for voter ID, right? It's 83% nationally. So men and women, Democrat and Republican, for the most part, agree on this. So women are not just these irrational
I'm not saying everything women want is terrible and horrible.
Okay.
I'm
just the things you don't like.
It's not about me and what I like. I'm saying there's an objective right and wrong.
Everything is about you and what you like. What do you mean? Your objective right and wrong is about things that you don't like. What do you mean?
There's objective morality.
I agree.
You're the one who thinks that we should be.
It's interesting how what she thinks is objective morality are things that she happens to also think are right and wrong.
Pandering to people's emotions.
Yes, actually, you know what? That's a great lesson to learn, is that people don't care about what you say until they know that you care about something.
Right.
So
women, for sure.
Yes,
men are much more open to logical. It's not 100%. But that's why women are far more easily swayed and propagandized by emotion.
Sure, but that means that
that's an assertion. I haven't been able to find credible or relevant data for this. There are some studies that talk about women being more influenced about shopping that I think I've discussed it previously, but that does not translate the same to political action. So I don't know if she has something to back that up. I've tried looking into this before because that's the same claim that Andrew makes, and I haven't been able to find anything for that. Petri, happy. That's a good one too. Men are using force to keep women voting, voter oppression. There you go. Men only voting would suck ass. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much voting really matters. I would like to think it does, because especially on a local level, it seems to matter. But as far as presidents, it seems like we get, what is it that South Park said, something like a douche nozzle and a shit sandwich or something like that. We get options that most people aren't happy with. Most people are like, if there was a real third option, I would vote for that. And that's what most people say. And when there is a third option, they still don't take it because they're too scared of the lesser evil taking over. So, and then we get something that's crappy either way every single time. Every single time we get something crappy that nobody's happy with. And if everybody really did what they said they want, is to vote for a third option, maybe one time, just one time, things might be a little different. But here we are. Church sandwich or genders, thank you. It was something like that. A third option move. Yeah, I mean, Rachel could move to Iran.
Then
I don't
you
want a
have to
country run off of that system. I don't
You
want
have
that.
to, Rachel, it's called adapting, right? And adapting to the situation. As somebody that has worked with many different people before, managed teams of people, I know that if I have a group of 10, that they're going to have different personalities, I have this message that I need to get to them, and I need to deliver it in 10 different ways so that it comes across a certain way. This is emotional intelligence, Rachel.
Oh, yes, emotional intelligence, which is made up nonsense.
Which we can
Emotional intelligence
develop.
is...
Okay. It says the emotionally unintelligent person. Sure.
nonsense. It's garbage. Garbage pop psychology.
Okay.
Do you believe in horoscopes too?
Emotional intelligence.
Yeah, she believes in horoscopes too.
We're not going to get into a horse. We're not going to get into horoscopes. We're gonna. I'm not
She
even.
does.
I'm not even going to answer that or entertain it. Let's stick to the topic.
Really quick, why don't we do a let's let a few chats come through, and then we can also dive into a different prompt. But first, we have Jim Bob Smith. Thank you for your super chat. Does the blonde on the right think MAGA and Trump is conservative? She is a conservative in the same liberal way Trump is. Do you want to respond to that?
No. They can write anything they want. I usually don't respond to people.
Well, I understand in the chat.
I wonder if the blonde bimbo on the left thinks that MAGA and Trump is conservative.
Valid point, though. Trump is a 90s Democrat, and he's a classical liberal, and so are you.
I think that there's things that I agree with Trump on most things, not all things. I'm not a blind follower of any politician, period.
All right, we have a chat here from, hold on, Brian's Conscious. Shit, I should have listened to the Unknown Soldier when he said to never have this low IQ nitwit back on the show. Good thing another Wilson is here, so this episode is actually making money. Okay, thank you for that. We have a chat here from Desert Jorge. He writes, Rachel, here are the facts. Driena, did I say it right?
Yep.
Driena. Driena. Well, that's just like your opinion. I feel that you just hate yourself, and I feel like I know what is right and what is wrong. Shout out to the Discord homies. Thank you, Desert Jorge.
You know, I haven't even said that yet, that, you hate yourself. I mean, I was planning on using that bomb at some point, but, I guess
You got me. I hate myself.
And we have one more here. Whatever fan, Rachel, I'm passing out the plates for this barbecue cooking. You're going to...
Obviously, you can never really claim that somebody does or doesn't hate themselves because you don't know how they really feel unless they tell you. But it does fit. It does seem to fit. But again, you can't claim something like that unless somebody admits it, obviously. That would be trying to mind read.
Do and feed the whole chat from whatever fan. Thank you for that.
Well, she believes her role is in the kitchen, so I
I
think that's
do.
appropriate.
In fact, the kitchen is the best room in the house. Can't wait to get back there. I even got a hotel room with a kitchenette in it.
Nice.
I do also like the kitchen.
Because I want to cook my own food.
Nice.
The
Guys,
kitchen is awesome.
If you're enjoying the stream, please like
The kitchen is awesome.
the video. Also, quick reminder, $10 display.
But Rachel liking the same thing I like kind of ruins it for me.
$99 and up for reads. Also, really quick, Tiffany, can you just pull up Twitch? Guys, if you're watching over there on Twitch, or you can open up another tab, go to twitch.tv/whatever. Drop us a follow and a Prime sub if you have one, if you have Amazon Prime. And if you're doing stream, of course, little prompts here.
We got to do no fault.
Be a post. You had referred to Rachel as a pick me. I don't know if you guys want to dive into...
You know what? That's funny. He says that because when I was making the thumbnail, I was gonna go with oh, I forgot to take the thing off the thing. There we go. When I was making the thumbnail, I was gonna do like pick me versus something. I forgot if I was gonna do femcon, like pick me versus femcon or something, or if I was gonna do like pick me versus not pick me. I forgot. Or like pick me versus slightly less pick me. I don't remember exactly what I was going to do. But pick me was going to be in the title when I decided, since everybody calls everything feminist, that is like, okay, well, let's have rights for everybody, which is most people in America. And then like most people are supposedly feminist according to that definition. So everybody's a feminist. That's kind of how we ended up with what we have now. It's getting late. I don't know how much longer we can go. I'll try to go till the hour, like on the hour or so, and then we'll probably call it pause until next time. Kitchen is awesome. I got to work and play out to debate women. then 11 was bad. Oh, you're such a pick me. Oh man. All right. Oh, come on, where's the mouse? There we go.
Dive into that?
Yeah.
What is a pick me?
Pick me is somebody that panders to manosphere men's audiences for just the sake of relevancy, and saying, yeah, women belong in the kitchen, barefoot and naked.
It can be that is like this category of pick me, but I wouldn't say that is pick me in general. Pick me in general is somebody that tries so hard to fit into a group of other people to be accepted by them that they like betray themselves and change all of their opinions to match the opinions of this other group, regardless about what they really think or feel. They basically like they're so desperate to be wanted and liked that they don't disagree with anything that this particular group says, and like they can do no wrong kind of thing. Yeah, something like that.
All the different tropes.
I would never say to be barefoot and naked in the kitchen.
And pregnant.
But women in the manosphere that are like pro manosphere content, they do tend to be, I want to say like 100% pick me's, but let's just say 99% just to cover any logical exception that might be possible.
In the kitchen, those kinds of tropes. Everything that a certain demographic of people want to hear just for relevancy, not because it's something you believe, you practice, or that is correct.
Okay, so you don't think that I believe or practice the stuff I'm saying?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, you're very against women having a voice in politics, yet we're debating here for what? It's been 2 hours or something like that?
I'm against women voting. I am continuing the proud tradition of my anti-suffrage.
But Rachel, you've voted before in the past.
Yes, I'll explain.
Okay, let's explain that.
Yes, so first of all, I'm here to...
And you'll never vote again?
Shush your mouth
You'll
for
never vote
5
again.
seconds, you little yappy machine. I'm getting to it. It's my turn to talk now.
Go for it.
I'm here to carry on the proud tradition of the majority of women who are against women's suffrage.
They started doing the Erica Kirk thing.
And did not want to be a political voting bloc, and were very happy with their duties as mothers and wives and community builders, and thought that was extremely important. I agree with them wholeheartedly and all their reasons why they didn't want the vote. Now, yes, I did vote, and yes, I will vote again, and I'll tell you why. To cancel the vote of a feminist somewhere, and to double my husband's vote. However you want to look at it. Whoever in...
Sure, it does make sense, but it is hypocritical. If you say women shouldn't vote and you, a woman, are voting, that is hypocritical. Like, even if you have some good reason that you feel like you should still do it, it's still hypocritical. Like, you could still be a hypocrite and do something for a reason that makes sense, but it could still be hypocrisy.
Andrew votes for, that's who I vote for, and that's how I'm going to cancel out some feminists somewhere's vote.
So you're against voting. You voted in the past, we'll vote in the future. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what it is,
Okay,
Rachel.
let me ask you a question.
Do you think people watching...
You just said I'm a hypocrite. Let me address it.
Yes, you are.
If I had an abortion when I was in college, let's say, like you said, when you were in college and you get told that it's really not bad, it's not even a life, whatever. I get pregnant, I have an abortion in college, and then later I learn, wait, that is actually murdering a human being. I'm against that and it's wrong. And I go out and I tell people, don't get an abortion, it's wrong. Am I a hypocrite?
No, because you actually changed your behavior based on new information.
Well, it's not a behavior you can change.
You can change your ideas, what you espouse, and your behavior based on new information.
So if I vote to cancel a feminist vote, that's hypocritical.
You'd be a hypocrite, Rachel, is if you found out this information personally were against abortion, now that you know this, that it's bad and murder, and then still went out and told women abortion is okay and it's not murder, then that is hypocrisy. In your case, what we were talking about previously was voting, right? So you don't believe women should have the right to vote.
But I live in reality, Driena. We don't want to deny reality. You keep telling Andrew he was denying reality. We live in this time and place we live in, okay? So I have to be here talking to women like you. I have to be here talking to women like you to talk some sense into you, to persuade everybody out there that you're wrong, and I have to go and vote. Because
you don't have to. You could let your husband do it. You don't have to do any of this. You don't have to. Is your husband not doing a good enough job? Like, is he so bad at this debating women on feminism thing that he needs you to be doing it? Because if he's so bad at it, then why don't you just take his place? Like, why have both people do it? It seems like one should be enough. Like, if one of you is supposed to be looking after the kids and one of you is supposed to be terminally online doing this like online debate job thing, that seems like a good setup. Why do you both have to be doing it? Like, sure, like more can be better, but it seems like he can't do it on his own for some reason, and like he needs your help here. And I don't know if he would agree with that. I'm pretty... I mean, I don't know for a fact. Obviously, I can't put words in his mouth. But it seems like he's pretty happy with himself about how he apparently, like, wins almost all the time or whatever. So I don't know. It seems a little excessive and overkill. So like, why be a hypocrite when you don't need to? Like you really don't have to be doing this. There's plenty of other people that could be doing this for you that are men. If male feminists keep voting, does that defeat her plan? That's a good point. Because there are a lot of men that do want equal rights for men and women. Probably, I think that's probably like, I don't even know what percentage. I want to guess like at least 95, 96 or more % of Americans do think that equal rights for everybody is something that is desirable. So I really don't see there being simply if you take out women that they're gonna. Well, yeah, I mean, if you take out the women and the men would probably just vote back their right to vote into place. So yeah, I don't really see that holding. But I'm sure that there are some other things that women do tend to vote on that are undesirable that she would get. But feminism itself, if you don't define it simply by equal rights, she wouldn't get rid of that. So that's a good point.
Otherwise, only the feminists are going to vote.
You don't have to do anything.
Oh,
Rachel.
I do. It's my
Who's this
duty.
forcing you?
It's my duty.
Oh, it's your duty.
Yes.
Okay.
Speaking of which, do you think women have duties?
Women have duties. Do you think?
Well, women have rights. You've spent the whole time talking about what rights women have. Do women have duties?
I think adults have duties. Yes.
Well,
what duties do you think women have?
Well, you would say men have a duty
what
to
duties
protect the homeland,
what
right?
duties do you believe women have?
Oh, I'm not going to give you any answers. I want to know what you think. I know what I think.
I think that adults have duties and responsibilities as adults.
But are they the same?
And in a
are men's and women?
Yeah, so if she's probably going to say something about having children. So if women have a duty to have kids, I don't know that they also have a duty to go on online debates and do whatever it is that she's doing here.
Duties the
and
same?
in a family context, then those differ, right?
Yep.
Or they may be similar depending on the structure that they have set up. So for example, in the past when people could afford to live on one income and the man could afford to have a stay-at-home wife, then obviously the roles of men and women differed to make it a working partnership, right? Nowadays, unfortunately, and this is not any of our fault.
But the Wilsons can certainly afford it. So that's not a problem.
The government and politicians and all that, most men and women do have to work within the family structure. So then obviously their duties and their roles and responsibilities within the households have changed. They have to adapt so that things can make sense.
Such a long answer. You could have given me like a 5-word answer. It would have been way better. No, because you like to hear yourself talk. So
you like to hear
do
yourself
men?
too, or else
No,
you
I really
wouldn't
don't. Do men have a
Why deny it?
duty to protect our nation?
We can all see it.
I think that, well, let me unpack that.
Whose duty is it to protect
our
the nation?
How?
From enemies, foreign and domestic.
Yes, foreign and domestic. So it depends, right? So men can be police officers, so can women. That would be protecting against domestic enemies, right? Police officers, FBI agents, TSA agents.
Yeah, I know what they are, but do you think both men and women should equally do those jobs? Or is that men's duty?
So your question is very broad because both men and women
No, I'll make it very concise.
do protect this country domestically.
That's what is it called? False dilemma or something? When those aren't the only two options where either women and men are exactly equal in that responsibility, there's exactly an equal number of men and women doing this thing, or it's like an only men thing or an only woman thing. Those aren't the only two options. You can have a disproportional number of people doing a thing, but that doesn't categorically make it a thing belonging to that gender. That's the same exact issue that I think earlier in the debate she made that same mistake, and that's the same exact problem with their whole forced doctrine thing, which I'm sure she's going to bring up at some point too. Same exact area with presenting this false dilemma between it's either exactly equal or it's for one gender. That's stupid.
And abroad.
When it comes to force, ultimately, when it comes to force, there's a bunch of illegals trying to cross the border.
Yes.
Somebody has to use physical force to stop them. Whose duty is that? Men or women or both?
It used to be that they'd send a lot of male foot soldiers, right, in for these kinds of things. Nowadays, we use more technology, right, for those kinds of interventions.
Always so people on the border, though. We have border enforcement agents down there with guns. Are you for equality in that job? Do you think we should have equal women and men defending the border?
I think that there should be a standard of can you meet these job requirements? Can you lift certain heavy things? If not, then you do not get that position because it puts us at
yeah, that's fair. Would you say the same thing in the military? Like you can only be a Green Beret if you can pass the standard, and if you're a woman and you pass the standard, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you aware that there's never been a woman who has been able to make it through special forces training like Green Berets?
Okay, then they shouldn't be.
Okay. So if only men can do those things,
that Green Beret position, but I just mentioned that there are plenty of other positions that do defend our country.
Okay. What percentage of women do you think are on the front lines in war or defending the border? Very minimal.
I'm not making the argument that.
What about critical infrastructure jobs like pouring cement?
She keeps moving the goalposts. First, it started with, oh well, all you got to do is hold a gun and defend the border, which women could hold a gun and defend the border with a gun. Like they could participate in that perfectly fine. But if she keeps like moving it, oh, well, you have to be specifically like this Green Beret thing. Now it's like specifically this exact thing or else, or this particular exact group of people that have these exact criteria or else. Like, either they participate in enforcement or they don't. Like, sure, specific groups can have disproportionate number of people that is heavily skewed one way or another. That doesn't make it categorically one thing. I'm not going to repeat myself too much on this because I've already hopped on it so much already.
And getting down in the sewer system and treating the sewer. What about oil rig work? The really heavy duty shit that keeps society running. How come only like two?
There are a lot of things that keep society running beyond the manual heavy duty labor, which does, but that's not the only thing. Society needs both genders. This whole like, oh, well, men keep society running thing. It's not wrong because men do, but so do women. Like, we need both genders. Not like one is like essential and the other one is sort of optional. We need everybody. That's
2% of
it's
those
ridiculous to claim otherwise.
People are women, and even in those fields, they're really usually just like holding a sign.
Rachel,
or doing office work.
I'm not devaluing in any way men's contributions to society.
Okay.
I think that's super important, and we should value them because of that. That's part of my whole argument that women should respect men.
What about nursing? Do we not need nurses? That's mostly women. Teachers, etc.
And thank men for their sacrifices to society as a
I
whole.
agree. But then why should we give women equal rights with
Let me
men
tell you,
when men are the only ones that can do those critical things?
Sure. Okay. Now,
What does getting equal rights have to do with a specific gender being able to do certain specifical, that's not a word, I'm sorry, certain specific critical things? I don't see how that's related, but I do wonder how she's going to connect that. I don't know if she can.
now that you asked me why should.
At least not in an irrational way.
Men also have contributed to society in so many different important ways, besides a very important role of historically being the primary caretakers of children and being a homemaker and raising a home, which is the pillar of a strong society. Let's talk about that, right? We've got women inventors that have contributed to things like, dishwasher, just things that we use every single day to make.
Are you aware of the number of female patents versus male patent holders?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Josephine Cochrane, dishwasher. Let's see. We've got Florence Pipehart. She improved early refrigeration systems. So because of this woman, we can not have food that goes,
she's like
that gets
that's anything if we look those up, it's
Wait,
going to be a guy who actually did the work. But okay,
let me finish this because we're talking about contributions to society. Obviously, I can't memorize all these.
Sorry, I didn't realize she started leaning forward so much. I like had myself in the way. I apologize.
Have that kind of a memory, but there's a woman who created the refrigerator, Kevlar, body armor material, Stephanie Kwolek, used in bulletproof vests that our brave men use in battle, helmets, aircraft components. A woman created the first computer algorithm, Ada Lovelace. She wrote the first algorithm for a machine. It's considered the first computer programmer, and without this, there is no modern software.
This is all very impressive, but beside the point.
Industry. No, it's not.
It is totally beside. I'm talking about force. I'm talking about.
She wanted patents, right? What?
About contributions to society.
No, you're talking about that. My question to you was about force.
Let me finish. Grace Hopper, which created.
I thought she was asking about patents. Am I tripping?
The COBOL programming language with which banking systems run, which
yes, make faces, Rachel. Very mature. How old is she now? Like 47? I don't know. I don't know how old she is, but making faces seems a little immature.
Government infrastructures used, so our financial system literally depends on this. We've got frequency hopping technology, Hedy Lamarr, which is the foundation of Wi-Fi.
Did you know that's false? I can't believe she did the Hedy Lamarr thing. That was a man who did that. No, she did not invent that. No, you can fact check that.
She's a co-founder with a man. Frequency hopping technology, Hedy Lamarr. There you go. You can look it up.
Yeah, if you actually look it up, it's well known that this is a fake feminist talking point.
So your original argument is, if this is what men contribute to society, this is why they get.
That's not what I said. I didn't say what people contribute. I asked you about force, and you dodged and obfuscated and stonewalled to evade my question. Only men.
I thought she asked about patents. Am I really tripping right now? Because I could have sworn I heard her ask about patents.
Force is the reason why people should vote.
And how they do all these like specific jobs that are essential. Like,
listen to the question, sweet cheeks, and then you can give me an answer. Yeah, if you're very pretty. Congratulations.
That little like cat fight sound was pretty appropriate on Brian's end. A lot of times I find his little like sound effects annoying, but I think that one was pretty spot on that time.
But this is a debate, not a beauty pageant, so you got to try to focus. So men are the only ones who can do the hard, forceful jobs that provide us with security and all of this technological infrastructure that allows you to pretend that we are equal with men. We are not equal with men. It doesn't mean that we don't equal in value. I agree, but that relates to duties. Equal in value relates to our duties to society. Men's duties to society are things like building and maintaining infrastructure, providing safety and security, keeping out enemies who are going to come in and like especially pre-industrial revolution. Oh, you're not going to cut me off after all that. Come on. prior to industry and technology, men literally had to keep the barbarian hordes away from the gates, okay? Like,
So this has
to
to do
keep
with
women
voting
safe.
and how?
Because people think that we've escaped this natural fundamental thing, and we haven't. It still requires force at the end of the day. You still need men out there. Look at Iran, look at Ukraine, look at the borders, all the national borders. You still need men with force to keep society going. That's men's duty.
I agree.
What are women's duties to society?
I just named them. They have historically been primarily homemakers, right? And also women have a duty that men can't do, period, which is childbirth.
I'm glad you brought that up. Why aren't they having any babies anymore?
Because the
What do you mean this is such a stupid argument. Why aren't they having babies anymore? I hear the same thing from Pearl, same thing from the other Wilson. Why aren't they doing it? They are. What do you mean they aren't? If it was literally a fact that women in general were not having babies anymore, we would, I mean, the world would be, there would be like a standstill world emergency where like you would not hear about anything else until we got that resolved. If women literally were not having babies, like just because the populations and people's birth rates sort of rise and fall, and we're in a dip right now, mostly due to technology and other factors like social media, etc. Probably, but I'm not sure. But there are so many factors that could be the case. Why there is a dip, but a dip does not mean they're not doing it anymore at all. Like that, you can't just say oh, they're not doing it anymore, but they are. They literally are. There's tons of babies being born every day.
situation for them is not apt, is not appropriate. It is a lot more difficult, especially when it comes to the economy, to have kids, one. And two, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, women need strong men to lead, right, and to be in a family with. And unfortunately, the men of today, I'm not saying all of them, but the men of today are quite literally not the same as men 50 years ago. In fact, and there's you can pull this up, Brian, but I have it written here too. Men are actually physically different than they were years back, as in men nowadays, on average, have lower testosterone than their grandfathers. So for you to say that because men have to be the ones leading and all of this, you're trying to say that, oh, women are not having kids because of women's right to vote or something like that, which is crazy. I'm saying that we need to build strong men back up. We need to encourage them to take care of themselves, to get healthy, to build up their hormones, get their testosterone right, get unaddicted to pornography, drugs, alcohol, vices, and then women will naturally want to have families again. But right now, there isn't as high of a percentage of men that women want to, what you call submit to, right, to get into a marriage with.
So women are not fulfilling their duty to society because man bad. The men just need to get better. The men need to get better. They need to improve. The men are in a sad, sorry state, and that's why the women don't want to have babies.
It's a fact. I'm not saying man bad. I'm saying
why aren't women fulfilling their duty? Why are women not fulfilling their duty? Is it because the men aren't good enough?
I'm saying man unhealthy, in fact. And
men are unhealthy, and that's why that's why the birth rate is so low, because the men are unhealthy.
Are you going to let me finish? Or
are you ever going to get to a point?
Yes. You just need to stop interrupting. So yes,
it's getting really annoying. I don't know if I can keep doing this in the same day. I think we're gonna call it. It's getting right up to. Okay, sorry. It's getting right up to that time on the hour anyway. But I'm just about done with it. Like, this is annoying. We certainly can't do this whole, there's no way I could do the whole thing in one sitting. I think even if it was physically possible time-wise, and like reasonable, I don't think I could. This is too annoying. We gotta take a break. We're gonna be, we'll do the other debate next time about the evolution thing, and I don't know. You guys let me know in Discord if you would rather do the like Erica Kirk live stream, like live investigation analysis thing where we could watch some stuff together, or if you want to resume this debate after that other one. So probably sometime near the end of, I don't know, maybe like Thursday or Friday, and then maybe another one Saturday or Sunday, I'm not sure. But I want to do probably like 3 next week, because I've been so busy researching that last week that I want to make sure I get back into doing more lives. So I'll probably do something like that. But you'll let me know what's more interesting to you. If you would rather, after the next debate review, if you would rather keep finishing this one until we're done with it, or if you'd rather move on to the Erica stuff. So, but eventually we'll finish either way. I just don't know how soon. If we want to do it right away, or if we want to kind of take it one step at a time when there's nothing better going on, etc. But it is what it is. I get cut up here and then call it a night. I'm back. Good timing. Oh no, Rick, no. not the timing is certainly not good. I'm just about wrapping up here because I can't do it anymore. It's too much. Thank you. I really appreciate the monies. I don't get a lot of money, so it's really special when I do. I'm really grateful. Thank you. Thank you again. Take care, everyone. Yes. Thanks for hanging out. Always nice seeing everybody. See you later. I'll check through it. Oh, good. Yeah, let me know what you think. And everybody let me know what's more interesting to you, if it's more of the like watch along Erica stuff, or if it's finishing this stuff. But yeah, we can sort of discuss and see what everybody likes better. I'm kind of indifferent which one we want to do first. Eventually we'll get to everything eventually, but it's more of like what we're going to do in the more immediate future. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Hopefully this I'll try to watch back a piece of it and see how this whole like camera being in the chat thing is working out. Hopefully that's a little better than me like looking off screen. That's kind of the goal of that. So hopefully it was as good for you as it was for me. Okay, that's enough spicy content for the stream. There's way too much spicy content in the stream. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everybody. Goodbye.